and Page, Lois Rackoff, Dr. Shirley Smith, and Katie Bordenero. So what we're going to do is we're taking the applications out of order. Anyone who's here from the public, I've said this, but please, anybody who's here, please make sure you've signed in. If you're here from the public and wish to speak on an application, we have a little bit of paper left. You can put your name down in the application. If you haven't signed in and you do want to speak on something when I go to the public on an application, you can just come up to speak and we'll just write your name down afterwards. So the way this works is I'm going to call on the applicant. You'll come up. There's a microphone up there. Everybody needs to use the microphone, committee members and people that are here. We need it on the microphone. So I'll call the application, come up to the microphone, state your names, go through the application. Then we will go to the committee for questions. And when we're all done with that, we will go to the public for questions, comments. We ask the applicants and the public to address the committee and not each other. Once we have heard from all members of the public on an application, then we will go back to the applicants to respond. And I think that's the routine. So ask that there's no back and forth, that everybody's respectful to each other, that everybody's polite. And if there are a number of people here to speak on the same application, if somebody has said what you were going to say, you can reiterate it briefly or just say that you agree. And I think that does it. The agenda, I think there's one or two printouts left. And that's it. Again, Chill House at 75 Varick Street laid over yesterday, so we will not be hearing that this month. There are other layovers or withdrawals that are on the agenda, but that was a last minute one. The first application we are going to hear is 310 West 4th Street, doing business as Bartolo at 310 West 4th. If you are here, come on up. Did you bring applications with you? Printouts of the application. There you go. And has anything changed since it was last sent in to us? No. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, just.
Hello. Okay. Should I begin? Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Bartlow.
Speak to us, not the committee.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Ryan Bartlow. I am the executive chef and co-owner of Ernesto's Restaurant, which is located on the Lower East Side of New York City. And we are here to apply for a liquor license for a new project. So.
Okay, do you want to go through the hours, the seating, the method of operation, all of that, please?
Sure.
Again, turn the microphone and speak to us. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So just to give you a little update, whether you know or not, Ernesto's is a Basque-inspired restaurant based on the time I spent living and working in San Sebastian years ago. We opened almost 5 years ago, December 2019. 3 months before the pandemic, and we somehow powered through and stuck with it and kept to our vision, and through that became an acknowledged restaurant in the neighborhood, but also amongst all our colleagues and peers, and to this day have had great success up to the point where we've been awarded, for example, the New York Times Top 100 list the last 2 years from Pete Wells, amongst many other great accomplishments. So with that said, we are now wanting to continue our journey, and we're looking to open, we're planning on opening another Spanish restaurant in the West Village. I have operated a few different restaurants in that neighborhood over many years. So it'll be a nice, refreshing return to be amongst peers and colleagues over there. So I'm excited about that. With that said, yes, we're doing, a little I would call it a little gem Spanish restaurant that's reflective of the taverns that populate certain areas of Madrid or San Sebastian or Barcelona, and serving great food and wine and essentially nothing more than that. We want to open, we would like to more or less continue the current indoor hours of operation, which I think is during the week closing essentially midnight with weekends at 12:30, and then on the outside area 11 p.m. with opening eventually in the morning at 8 a.m. for coffee, pastries, breakfast, nonetheless, and eventually serving lunch. But that should probably happen a few months out. We're going to start with dinner service. So,
Okay, so the hours are 8 to 12 Sunday through Thursday, and 8 to 12:30
Friday,
Fridays
Saturday.
and Saturdays.
Yep.
You don't have TVs.
No,
It's background music.
barely, if any.
And then you have private parties down. It is.
Yeah, I mean,
how
if someone wants to buy out the restaurant for a dinner, basically it would cover however the amount of people that we'd have in the restaurant. So, yeah,
Do you know about how many times a year you'd like to be able to do that?
I mean, I think it's really based on, it'd be no different than having the amount of same people populating the restaurant. Most of the times when you have a buyout or a private party, for us, it would be even less people. There are people just using the space for that, but.
I mean, once a month, twice a month,
Sure,
4
if-
times a
if
year.
that,
I mean,
if
that's
that.
what I'm just looking for.
Yeah,
like 20.
Yeah, I think no more than that, if even that. Most
mean-
of the year will just be normal à la carte service.
Okay, for the community, why it makes a difference is because you've got that whole group of people usually coming at the same time and leaving at the same time. So,
Understood.
so that's the impact
Okay.
for them, just say that. All right. Then the application had, you removed the road bed.
Yes,
Okay,
that is not happening.
okay, it's never happening.
Never happening.
Then, hang on. Thank you. And then there's sidewalk seating
Yes.
that is, do you have anything, the application says it's in the property line. We have information that says it's not in the property line. Do you have anything that says that it is in the property line other than our stipulations? From
I
before.
do not at this moment. We're waiting to get that back, but just for the record, it is sub-level, the seating. So
Right.
if anyone was just walking by, they would have to go downstairs to be even.
No, I know that. I'm just trying to figure out how you're able to have it, because if it's on the sidewalk. I mean, everything I sent this, it's on the sidewalk. All those buildings are flush. They get an easement for the stoops and all of that. Is there
Sure.
an easement? The tax
I'm-
information
I-
shows that it's.
I don't have the answer yet. We're waiting on that. So when I get it back to you, I'll let you know.
So my concern is that if the sidewalk is not on private property, which we believe it is not on private property, right? So it's public property. I don't know how you can have the sidewalk seating, because with the DOT program, you'd have to apply to that, but it has to be flush with the ground.
Okay, well,
So,
if that's the case, we'll apply for it. That's not a problem.
and you may not be able to have it. That's what.
We'll find out and figure that one out.
Okay, and I think the application said the outdoor seating would close at 10 o'clock.
I would like to possibly, if we could, keep it around 11, because I know that's
I think
citywide.
so.
Based on the fact that we are eliminating the entire outdoor seating beyond that. And I did have
Did you have a meeting with I'll just
did.
let the community,
Yeah,
okay, so let's
I
just
did.
keep going through. Then we'll go back, because I know there's people from the public to speak on this, so
Sure.
we'll let them.
Okay.
Then the other issue with the space is the rear.
Yes,
There's a violation on that.
and that is
There's
being
a-
handled as we speak.
How's that being I mean, according to the plans, all your kitchen equipment, your refrigerator, everything is out in the rear yard that was, from what I've sort of read, not properly built. there's nothing that says it can be out there.
Well, the refrigeration, all those units have been approved. I think it's
I have
There's-
nothing that shows anything's been approved.
okay, well, again, that is being handled by our attorney and our contractor, so
But-
and our architect. So I can assure you that that is well aware and needs to be handled and will be handled and adjusted accordingly.
Okay, I'm, Carter, do you have a microphone? Use it.
So this is a residentially zoned area, so you can't
Yes.
expand non-conforming uses.
Right.
So the backyard wasn't used in the past. And now you're using it for commercial uses. So then, yeah, and you have violations that say that's been there. So are you going to remove it or not?
I don't have that answer right now. I'd love to talk to my attorney about that.
It's, the violations were observed rear yard fire escape and emergency egress obstructed with restaurant illegal kitchen, enclosure structure, fence gate blocked.
Okay,
And I mean, that's probably the most important safety violation you can have, right? Which is a fire egress.
yes.
And that violation, I don't believe is resolved. And the other one was paid, but that's it. It was just paid. And it says at time of inspection, observed large enclosed wood structure, built-in rear yard with plumbing for a sink and electrical for lights and refrigerators. And it says no plans with DOB for work performed.
Okay, so like I said, that is being viewed and it will be adjusted accordingly to comply with what we need to get done. As far as I know right now.
Okay, I don't know how something like that's gonna get adjusted,
Okay,
but that's the whole, go ahead, Cormac.
I mean, more to the point, and nothing against you because it looks like a fabulous restaurant, right? No, but more to the point, it's like we can't, part of our role in this process, according to the SLA, is to be the people who make sure that these things are done and figured out and okay and going to be okay before we send this up.
Sure.
So we will comply when we find out, leaves us in a difficult spot. We kind of need to know before we can vote. That's the way I've always looked at it.
okay.
And
The previous operator very clearly said the backyard is not part of the premises.
Okay,
So,
all right.
well, I mean, without a plan, I don't know how we
What?
can have a positive recommendation. Though that's more the issue. Nobody's saying just what is the plan, but not having a plan.
Well,
leaves us in a-
there is a plan and there will be a plan to make sure that the way we operate is suitable for egress and all of those things. I don't think that we're going to try to work around anything.
I guess I'm just confused because the submitted plan to us shows that you're storing liquor in the rear yard, that there's a walk-in refrigerator in the rear yard, that there's an ice maker out there, that those are all things that are not permitted uses. So unless we have an updated diagram,
And then you'll get one.
we're hearing this tonight. You've already filed your application. That's the problem.
Okay,
Is it that there is no window in here for us to be getting something. We're reviewing what we have in front of us tonight because you've already
Understood.
filed your application with the liquor authority.
okay. Well, I can work on getting an updated diagram for showing all of you. Okay, well, we don't have it at this moment.
Right.
Okay.
Bob,
Yes. No. Hello? Good. Okay. So I just to follow up on, I just want to make sure that we have this right. So I'm looking at the diagram here and it says north alleyway. And then there's a liquor storage, looks like some sort of box. Is that north alleyway? Is that covered? What is that? Is that open to the elements? Above us?
It's covered.
It's covered.
Yeah.
And what is it covered with?
You want to answer this?
I'm not sure what material was used to build this structure. Again, we'll be addressing it with our general contractor. But again, I don't have the knowledge of the ins and outs of something that was pre-existing before us acquiring this space.
Okay.
Donna, could she introduce herself to us?
Oh,
Just-
I'm sorry. My name's Davita Connie Bartlow. I am owner, partner of Ernesto's as well. So that's me.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the liquor storage is in this covered area. Is it where it says backyard on the diagram, is that also a covered area?
Correct.
Okay, and that's the same, whatever it is,
Correct.
that you
Yes.
can't describe, or at least you can't identify to us.
Correct. Yes.
And then it has low boy refrigerator liquor storage back in the corner of what appears to be, I can't tell if it's another room or is that also under the canopy that's in that backyard?
Correct.
Okay,
I wouldn't really call it a canopy. It's like a permanent structure that was built.
like with wood and things of that.
I
Yeah.
do not know what material was used.
Okay, all right. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Have you looked at the space?
Yes, of course.
Okay, but,
I just can't determine what the material that they
Okay,
used to build this
okay,
is.
but it's walls, it's.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else from the committee have anything before I go to the public? Katie?
Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, I have a question about the 8 a.m. opening. Are you thinking of opening indoors and outdoors, although we are not clear that you are allowed to be outdoors from 8 a.m.? Is that your
That-
intention?
That would be the intention. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And going back to this diagram that you provided to us, there is off the, I don't know, there's some sort of a door out of the backyard looking into another space. Can you tell us how the
there-
backyard connects through this doorway that is clearly open on the diagram?
So we're not capable of opening that door. It seems to have been nailed shut or it's permanently sealed. I'm assuming it leads in. It seems like it leads to our neighbor's backyard. But there is a door that says exit that does not open to, we're not capable of opening it.
And do you have access to what's labeled south alleyway?
I'm sorry, what was that?
There's another, on the diagram, there's something called south alleyway.
Yes, we have access to that.
How do you get access to that?
There is a door
A door from the building or from the backyard?
from the backyard structure.
And that's a dead end?
Yes, it dead ends.
Thank you.
To follow up on that, so it doesn't connect to the next door backyard.
No,
Okay. And then where's the fire escape for the building?
the fire escape is, to my knowledge, from what several general contractors have said, is not obstructed by the structure outside.
So
It
it's
is
in the
to the
rear of the
side.
building.
Correct.
Donna,
Okay, go ahead.
if the fire escape is in the rear of the building, how do people get out of the rear? The door is nailed shut.
It's in a different section. I'm really not sure because it's not leading into our space. And from what our general contractor has said, it has access to
Have you
get
read
out.
the violation that's on the building? Because that's what the violation is,
Okay.
that it's blocking the fire escape.
Our architect has told us about the violation, but didn't go into major details about it.
I mean, observe rear yard fire escape, emergency egress obstructed with restaurant, illegal kitchen enclosure structure, fence and fence gate blocked, observe created an alternate egress through inside the restaurant. I mean, that's what the violation is.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else from the committee at this time? So I'm gonna go to the public. If you're here to speak on this application, why don't you just start coming up? If you guys could just move over to the side and we'll let people come up. I have, Michael Pachizella, Nancy Cole, Natalie Pritzella. You can tell me how to pronounce your name correctly. Joseph Gabbis, Sophie Darren, and Leslie Clark. So I don't care which order, just say your name and take it from there.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm Natalia Petrozella. I live at 310. So we actually are that exit you're talking about. That is our yard. So I can say more about that in a moment. We've lived there since 2015 and have real roots in that neighborhood. Our kids go to school there. I teach at the new school. And so we really care about this block. We're prepared to support the application as submitted, the terms in there, TVs, hours, et cetera. If there is no roadway shed now or in perpetuity added to that property. These sheds have been an absolute blight for us. And then the other two issues are, it's crucial to us that the illegal shed in front of the building, which has been abandoned since April 1st, for which there have been tens of 311 reports filed, that be removed immediately. It's full of trash. It attracts unhoused people who understandably hang out there. And it violates the DOT's own rules because it blocks the opening to the residential building there, and it doesn't allow trash collection for that building to happen there. All the trash is put in front of our house. So with the shed, we oppose this or have this condition because the sheds in general present very serious sanitation, safety, and crowding and noise concerns. That goes for sheds in general, but in that particular spot, the grade of the street is such that the water cannot pass below. There is like a mountain of sludge that collects there. The previous operator, we told him many times, can you let the drain pass? And he goes, well, fine, I'll take out the blockage, but then more rats will come. And that he's right about that. He was right about that. There's no way. There's a very, very narrow sidewalk there, in part because there's already a roadway cafe. So there's almost no clear path, particularly if there's service going on there. And the last thing I'll say to provide a little more clarity on that illegal shed in the back. So we had a DOB inspector come through our backyard. The first thing that she realized, because she could see from ours, is there's no egress because it's nailed shut from our side. I didn't know there was an exit sign posted on the other side. So that is one thing. And then she also took pictures from like different levels, and she said that none of that had been constructed according to DOB rules. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, Michael, is that?
Yeah, Michael Petrozella. Thank you for, let me just look. So I support this application with the methods of operations, the way they have sort of laid it out in terms of the hours. I do not support extending the hours in the sidewalk cafe beyond 10 p.m. So as they have proposed it, asking for the French doors to be shut also at 10 p.m. I assume I wasn't clear on that, but when they said background music, are you intending to play background music in that sidewalk opening?
There's no music
Okay,
allowed
so
out on the
good.
sidewalk.
So I wanted to confirm that. But the stipulation is no roadway bed now or in the future. If they were to change that kind of method of operations, my request would be that they come back to here to this kind of hearing and consult with the residents. I do want to provide a little bit more information on the violations in the back. So there's an egress. There was an egress into our backyard when Justin Cohen, the previous owner that they bought this property from, or the lease from, constructed basically, and he extended. It's a shed structure there, according to kind of what I can see. And I think the structure is illegal. And then Justin actually extended it even to what was already illegal, all the way up to our kind of property, and build this sort of additional coverage where he put in, I think, refrigeration and other things.
So did he build it twice, or did the person before Justin
There's
started
somebody
and then
before that
oh,
built it, and then he built an addition to it. So there's an addition to already an illegal structure. The whole thing to me looks like a shed structure that the inspector basically said has not had an application with the DOB, no permitting. So I think that needs to really be cleared out. And we actually we terminated that easement and that egress agreement with 310. So that, we shut the door. And so there's no egress. And so
So there used to be an easement.
there used to be an easement. Yeah.
And that no longer
That easement is
exists.
terminated, and we've, notified 310, terminated that agreement. And, so I don't know how that easement is being handled. I mean, when we had the discussion, they basically said they're going to try to deal with it in a different way. I don't know if there's another escape that's been created where people can aggregate, but the history of this is that, before we terminated it, there was a sort of a permission for, in case of an emergency like fire, for people to, come through that door and aggregate, I guess, in our backyard.
Because the fire escape went down into that backyard, is that what would
No,
happen?
there's no fire. I don't know where the fire escape
Okay,
is.
so nobody knows where the fire escape.
I think there's a whole issue with the, maybe on the front of the building. I don't know if there's one on the back of the building,
Okay.
but the whole backyard is basically constructed over with this shed.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any room for anything like that.
Okay, got it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi, my name is Joseph Gabus. I live at 306 West 4th Street, right next door. I'll echo my neighbors in supporting the application based on the hours in the application, closing at 10 p.m., not 11 p.m., and dismantling the roadway dining structure not to be reintroduced at a later date.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sophie Darren Nguyen. I live at 310 West 4th, apartment 1. So I have the brunt of the contact with the restaurant, et cetera, and make eye contact with the previous outdoor diners from my apartment. So I do support the application as submitted, not with the extended hours. There's a lot, as Natalia and my neighbors have already mentioned, homeless people loitering. It then means that they come into our vestibule sometimes and sleep there. There's a lot of single women, single mothers, and elderly people that live in this building. So it's already not safe with the steep incline and just having more people in a way to exit. One thing that wasn't mentioned as well, although we've already spoken about the garbage issue, but with that outdoor space, there's no place to put any of the garbage. It goes out into 308 West 4th. So there's just really not a safe or sanitary place for garbage to go. And so anyway, long and short is, do support the application, not with the extended hours and with the removal of the roadway dining, which I think is what we've agreed on anyway. But yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leslie Clark with West Village Residents Association. I was involved in the discussions between the near neighbors. I'm a neighbor, but not as near as these people are. I also, West Village residents also will support this application since we spoke very clearly to the applicants about the need to remove the shed, to manage the trash, to keep the outdoor hours to 10, and that includes keeping the windows and doors closed, and to remove the shed that has been there since April, even though the business has been closed. So if in fact the applicants are going to keep to the terms of the application, the questionnaire that they sent to you, and remove the shed, then West Village residents does support this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Norma Cote. I submitted my testimony in writing, and I won't repeat any of it here, except to say that when I wrote it up, I had not had any prior notice that they had dropped their application for a roadway cafe. I am surprised that they are seeking sidewalk seating. The sidewalk there is only 5.5 feet wide. I would certainly like to see a diagram of where they're going to put the chairs and the tables and leave room for a service aisle as well before I could comment on whether or not I think this is appropriate. As for the hours of operation, it seems to me that the issue here is whether it's appropriate and in public interest to serve alcohol at the hours that they're asking for, not whether the landlord is willing to agree to have them operate, but to have them serve alcohol. I personally don't think it is appropriate for any restaurant or bar in that area to be serving alcohol at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think they should serve alcohol no earlier than noontime in an area like that. It's residential.
Thank you. That's all I have signed in. Is there anybody else here to speak on this application? No, I don't see anybody. Okay. You're up. Go ahead. Come on. Huh? Yeah. Get him to write down. We need his name. I need his name eventually.
As a resident.
Wait, just wait 1 second. Just 1 second. Come up to the mic. State your name first.
My name is Julius Freda. I live at 310 West 4th. And the last few years, our apartment building has been a nightmare because of that roadway. The idea that a new restaurant would come in and make and continue that horror that we've been living through for the last several years, 2 years, would be just unacceptable at all. I certainly would welcome you if you have a viable plan that serves respects the tenants, the residents, and the building, then I accept them, but not with the roadway.
Okay, so they said that they'll get rid of the roadway. So does that?
Oh, I would like question.
No, you can ask us a question
Okay.
and they'll answer.
Have they submitted their plan to the open restaurant?
I'll ask them that question.
Okay. And the other thing is, I know there are no real figures or feet or anything, or how many people are going to be sitting here or there, especially in the roadway.
Well, they told us they're getting rid of the roadway. So
Okay.
that's not part of this application.
Just wanted to emphasize that was important. Plus being a good neighbor.
Thank you. Okay, I think that does it. What, one more?
My name is Stephen Katz, K-A-T-Z. I live at 306 West 4th. We had a very good Zoom call of the neighbors and the new owners, and they agreed to take down the roadway, and that's our principal objection. So I'm here to speak in favor of their application.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I think now you could come back. Okay, so the first question will be, have you applied with DOT already for the outside seating or no?
I'm sorry, what was
Have you
that?
applied with DOT for the
No,
roadway? Okay.
Because we are not.
I just didn't know because you had filed your liquor license application already with the liquor authority before you came here. So you might
Yes,
have
no,
gone
we
ahead
are-
and filed
we
with
are
DOT.
not- We will not be having roadway seating.
Okay,
We have listened to our neighbors. We agree with everything that they
Great.
said via the Zoom call, which I felt was very productive. And so no roadway.
okay. And then the window, if you can have the sidewalk seating, which again, we do not believe you can, because it's on the
We were
public property.
hopeful that because we were working with them on not doing the roadway at all, that they would, that we're gonna, first of all, we would apply for DOT if we are allowed to have outdoor seating. And we were hoping in terms of the 11 PM closure, that because we are getting rid of however many seats, that, in terms of helping us continue to keep the business alive, that we could stay open 1 extra hour.
So I think when you had the Zoom with them and everything, everybody agreed to 10 o'clock is what it's sounding like, what I got in writing.
Yes, and we said we were going to reconvene and discuss internally about what we wanted to do. We agree with them that we are not going to be doing the roadway at all, ever. We're not interested in participating in that. But if we are able to have sidewalk seating based on our, property line, we are asking for 11 PM.
Okay. So that, just to be clear on this, all of these neighbors that were just here supported this application based on no roadway and 10 PM closing.
Yes.
So that support does not hold if you're asking for 11 PM
I
closing. So
think
we're
we're
very clear.
just asking the question, at least possibly Friday and Saturdays, but
But did you bring that up with this is, I'm just going to say one thing just to get this on the record. We got a notice on this on July 17th. You went ahead and filed your application. It's summertime. People are out of town.
right,
You were out of town.
yes.
the community went and met via Zoom. They wanted to meet in person so that you could see where they live, what the street is like. Your other establishment
Sure.
is on very wide streets with very tall buildings, very far away. It's completely, I'm just saying, it's completely different, in my opinion.
Okay.
And so they went and had the Zoom meeting,
Yes.
I guess, yesterday.
Okay.
And the reason that there's no back and forth here on anything or no waiting to see is because you already went and filed your liquor license application. And we have to, if we're going to comment on this, do that now by this month. And that's the problem with all of this. Normally what people do, and I wish Mr. Bernstein were here because he knows this extremely well. He's very familiar with our community board and he's very familiar with this process, is that we hope that everybody can get together, can talk. You can then go home and think, so that if you want 11 o'clock, you can go back to the community and say, this will work for us. And then by the time you get here, this is all worked out. And because of the rush and the way you did all of this, it's not helpful for us tonight to be able to do this.
Understood. I think you have to understand too, feeling rushed is also in the same way that we're getting pressure to take apart the structure that we're going to be proactive on as soon as possible. You know, so everything is a process. We just signed the lease within the last couple of weeks. It just closed. We just closed with a general contractor yesterday. As of our Zoom call yesterday, we were discussing, the main point of the Zoom call was discussing us agreeing to the removal of the outdoor structure.
The outdoor structure, the other thing that's true about all of this is you transfer a license, you get a place. If somebody leaves their stuff outside, it doesn't go with this.
Okay.
It's not part of the equipment you're buying. It's
understand that,
transferred.
yeah.
With that, you have another restaurant, you should be aware of that.
Okay. Well, with that said, we are planning on removing the entire outdoor structure. And if 10 o'clock is going to make everybody happy and continue this conversation in a positive way, I'm fine with that for now. 10 o'clock is fine. Okay. All right. That's fine.
Then the doors also close. Those French doors that are there close
Yeah.
at 10 p.m.
No problem.
Okay.
Hi.
ahead.
Hi.
Thank you about removing the roadbed. Do you have a work order or a date of when you expect to take it down?
I'm working within the next week. Like I said yesterday, we just hired a contractor who's going to come in. As you can see outside, there's a hurricane going on, so people are having trouble getting in and outside the city. He's starting to do a little bit of legwork in this facility tomorrow. So it's going to be a process, but I can guarantee you all within the next week, it'll be gone. Okay. I got a scope, I got a quote, no more roadway. We're going to make everybody happy, including us. I'm not a huge fan of them myself.
Thank
okay?
you.
You're welcome.
Katie?
So where are we on the backyard and this other structure? You've inherited two structures, it sounds like.
Unfortunately, it's not something I can speak to at this exact moment. Again, like my partner is saying, we have a general contractor coming into the space tomorrow morning. I am meeting him there, and we are going to be discussing what's going on with the entire situation, including removal of the roadway, but not, I'm not sure about this backyard, and we will figure it out. We're going to address what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the backyard is illegal. And you're actually, that shed is blocking egress, emergency egress to people that live in that building. And I don't know how we could, as a board, agree to go along with that without it being removed. And then you have the storage of liquor out there. You have refrigerators out there. Where you're going to put all the stuff that's in those things inside. I mean, clearly there was a restaurant there before. It can be done, but that's a huge question mark. So it's great that everything is hunky-dory out front and in the front of the building, but the rear of the building poses a danger to the people that live in that building. So that, to me, I don't know. I mean, this could be, I don't know if it can be laid over till next month.
Just going to say they've already filed. So if we want to.
It's already filed. So there's not much I can do about that, but I mean, I don't see how that's how it could be.
Obviously, we want everybody to be safe and be in a safe environment. Again, we will figure out what needs to be done back there to make sure that we comply and that everybody is safe. That's all I can say at this moment.
I think you clear, it's Carter.
I'm just gonna say, I'm looking back through the previous plans, there's no record of use of the rear yard by the previous restaurants. It's not filed with the liquor authority, and the neighbors, what they said was, these are just illegal construction. So if you can't have it, what's the plan?
We're gonna have to figure it out.
Contractor and architect.
Use the microphone, please.
We're going to come up with a strategic plan to make it comply and work for the neighborhood and us as well. Because obviously, like you said, at some point it did function. So
It functioned without the backyard.
I'm just gonna say, because this is what we'll talk about later, but it looks like both the front and the rear are both not legal uses. And so I'm just, you
Okay.
guys have,
well,
and I don't know what obviously you executed some agreement with, whoever.
yeah, but we also
party, so-
scoped everything out. I don't think that we would agree to something completely where there's no legal usage whatsoever, front or back. So
Well, the front, I don't think that you can apply to dining out NYC because it's not at grade. And it's pretty obvious that it's not, within the property line. If you
you're talking about in the street or
in the front.
in the street?
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
The sidewalk.
No, the
Oh, the
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
It's pretty obvious
Okay.
when you look at the city, right? You
Okay,
can have
well-
it where you want. I'm just
Sure.
trying to, but it's hard for us because the intention is to use it, saying it is within the property line. And then also without knowing the answer. So you're saying we will use the rear yard. So it's difficult for us to have a recommendation
Okay.
based, just, you
Sure.
put us in a difficult spot without having all the background and you guys having thought it through. And this all would have come to light, very much more quickly had the meetings of the community, et cetera, all happened. But now we're in a time crunch because the liquor authority is reviewing it and there's
Sure.
no plans on it. And so it puts us in a predicament in
Okay.
that situation.
Because going back to what I said before, I understand what you said, you get a strategic plan, you figure it out. Here's the thing. I appreciate that intent, goodwill, drive, moxie, entrepreneurial, wonderful qualities, not what this process is about. What we need is a credible plan. So the fact that you have confidence in yourself that you will make one, I think is great. But for us, I like speaking for myself, I won't speak for the committee. I can't see how I can vote without a plan for it.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll do.
Okay, I think, does that do it for everybody? Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just the other thing, on a closing note on this, Bob, do you have one? Yeah, can you send us the lease? That's one thing. Send us the lease. And then the other thing is for all the representatives out there, Community Board 2 on our website about our district has a list of block associations. Yes, it's a little bit buried on the website and we try our best to keep it up to date, but it may not be up to date. But the names and contacts are on there. Please refer to it or feel free to reach out to the office if you need to know any information, because the email address is used on the well-known block associations. Again, Mr. Bernstein knows this. We're not the correct email addresses. So, if you didn't hear back from people from the emails, that may have been part of the reason. And I just want everybody to know that that's what they should be doing. Thanks. What? Wait, hang on one second. Dr. Smith?
Can you hear me? Okay. I just want to ask this question. Were you aware that you were scheduled to come before us before you went to the liquor authority?
We just did what Donald told us to do. We're here because.
Yes,
our
they sent in a
attorney-
notice. They sent us a notice on the 17th, and according to what Mr. Bernstein emailed me, they filed their application the following week.
Thank
Okay.
Thank you.
And the emails that they were correct. We got a lot of responses.
Good, but I'm just, they're not, I know for the West Village Residents Association, they have an info at West Village Residents or something like that. This this did not go to that. It went to one of the members at their personal email address. And for the Jane Street Block Association, instead of using the Jane Street Block Association, it went to one of those members at their personal address. So you may have heard back from them. I'm not saying you didn't hear back from them, but if you didn't hear back from them, that very well may be the reason why. And I just wanted everybody to be aware of that, because these are, this isn't for you, this is just for everybody. These are individuals with personal email addresses, and then they find out they're doing this more often, and they set up a block association email address, and they just may not look at it. So that's why it's important to see what we have on our website as what they've set for contacts. That has nothing to do with you. I just wanted to,
Understood.
yeah.
Thank
And in
you.
case you didn't hear back, I just wanted to also point out that may be why. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay, thanks. Okay. The next application is going to be, NRK Cafe Lelabar. Okay, go ahead.
Sam Park representative. I'm here for alteration for NRK Cafe, including the outdoor backyard and inside increase to the bar. And we've been in restaurant been 16 years, wanting for beer and wine license. The hour of operation is 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Monday to Thursday, and 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. is Sunday. And we have only background music.
Okay. And so this alteration is to expand the bar?
Yes, and the backyard using.
Okay, and backyard. Okay, so just to run through this, what I have down is that you had 17 seats at the bar and you added 11, so you have 28 seats now. And there's also 6 tables and 12 seats in the rear that I think wasn't there before, because the rear is all new. And then there's a counter with 7 seats, which probably was there before, right? So it was 47 inside before, and it's now 24, or it was 24, it's now 47 inside.
Yes, correct.
And then what you want to also do is use that little area in the back and add seating to that.
Correct.
Okay, so what I said to you last time is, do you have anything that shows from DOB, not the architect, from the city, that shows that use of that rear yard is legal?
That's what we submitted the TCO, and then the architect, we got the letter from the working on the building department attached us.
Well, what that letter says is that the first floor and the rear yard have a temporary certificate of occupancy, but the temporary certificate of occupancy just says the first floor. It doesn't address the rear yard. So, and additionally, the occupancy maximum person is 49, and you've got 47 people on the inside, so that leaves you 2 people for staff and everything else. So, as we said last time, without seeing something that shows that that rear yard can be used.
That's the architect, we got.
I said last time that we need something from this city because it's a safety concern with the egress with people in the rear yard. And introduce yourself first. And
My name is Chris Martirano. I'm the general manager.
okay, so you're not one of the principals.
I'm not.
Okay.
I handle the operation, but I can give a little context and I can address the backyard at the end.
Okay.
But,
Let me, where are the principals? Because we also went through that last
yeah,
time.
so there's two owners.
Yeah.
There's one is sick today.
Okay.
He wanted to be here. He lives nearby, but he has tested positive
Yep,
for
got
COVID.
it.
The other is a very minor partner. He lives in Long Island. He's really not involved in any of
Okay, so
the
which one is the
operation.
major partner, just so?
Nathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I've been there for 15 years out of the 17 years that the bar has been open.
Okay.
I started off as an oyster shucker and I worked my way up, and I will sign on to become a principal this year. So the context of, the bar was exactly the same for about 15 years. It was a small little 25-seat bar, serving wine, beer, and small bites. The building was sold a few years ago, and our landlord, who was actually born in the building, lived there for 70 years. We had a great relationship with. She moved upstate and sold the building to a European buyer who is not around, but he had an architect come in, redesign the space, and give us sort of an ultimatum that says, this is the space that we designed. You can either stay or leave. We had a few years left on our lease, so we decided to stay and make the best of the new space, which is a little bit bigger. He added a small high top dining area in the back, which is those extra 4 tables, which accounts for about 12 seats. And he opened up the backyard, which was there, but there was no access to it. He added a door, and, in the pitch he gave us to increase our rent, he said, you can use this backyard. So in order to, we're not greedy. We don't want to increase our size exponentially, but in order, to keep up with this new rent, we would like to use that backyard as extra seating, during appropriate hours and times of year. I would really like to have it done in a way that makes the neighbors happy. And at your question, I have seen, and I don't know if it was submitted, a DOB stamp drawing that does show the backyard as seating, as dining area.
That still doesn't mean it's approved for that. I'm just going to ask, can we just remove the rear yard from this application? I mean, I'm just going to, it's a little space with a little bit of seating. I think we have a number of people here to speak to it, so I'll let them speak. It's rear yards are always a problem because of the noise. This is surrounded by residents, which I think, did you speak to the residents that?
I've spoken to a few. There are residents on the north side of the backyard, but none on the east or south side. And there's no residents in our building at all.
Okay. Go ahead, Cormac.
So I'm sympathetic to the fact that basically the landlord told you something that it apparently wasn't true and charged you more rent. But, the temporary certificate of occupancy that you have here does not say what the architect says it says.
Mm-hmm.
And, so there's no way I personally speaking for myself could vote yes for this proposal because it includes something that you do not legally, I cannot tell the SLA that all of your permits and everything and things are in order and there'll be no problem about them when it seems to me there's going to be a major problem about it. If you take the rear yard off, I don't know that there are any problems with this application. So just something to think about. I understand that maybe you got misled and now you're in a bureaucratic problem with the city, but I have no confidence it's going to work out in your favor. Furthermore, I don't think it's in the community's interest that it work out in your favor. So, right, I mean, I think So speaking for myself, you'd be wise to drop the backyard off the application. Thank you.
Anybody else from the committee right now? Should I just go? Okay, let me just go to the members of the public that, go ahead, Dr. Smith.
To follow up on Cormac, well, are you willing to drop the application for the backyard?
I'm only the general manager. I can't make that decision.
So, okay, so that's the reason why we need the principals here. That's, I mean, we'll go through this. There's a lot of members from the public here, and then you can figure out what you want to do, but this is why we need a principal here.
Mhm.
For just that reason. But let's go hear from the public and see where we're at, okay? I have a number of people here to speak on this. Marco Santelli, Paul Dienis, I think. Just everybody just come on up and line up and introduce your name. John Van Antwerp, Walter Bishja, and Marianne Arisman.
Okay, that's better. It's more my height. Marianne Arisman. I'm chairman of the St. Luke's Place Block Association. And we have quite a contingent here from both St. Luke's Place and Hudson Street, residential neighbors who have serious problems with this rear yard. We've all submitted letters and stated the various issues that we're concerned about, noise being one of the major ones. Another one would be fire, whether it's been approved for fire egress. It looks like there's only one small door that goes into the restaurant for getting out of the way of a fire. There are neighbors, and it's surrounded. I have various pictures we'd like to add to our file, if we may, that show just how small the space is. In my letter, I estimated, based on neighbors, that it was like 22 by 10. We have today paced off the area, and it would seem that it's more like 17 by 8, if that. It's a very small space, but it is surrounded by high buildings that go up through 4 stories or more, or a brick concrete wall, and it turns into an echo chamber. And people will be speaking who can hear all the conversations and all the soap opera dramas that the other thing is they've been using it already for the past couple of months without any approvals, any DOB approvals or application. So we're concerned about that. We're concerned about safety. We're concerned about our residential neighbors, and we're concerned that it might set a precedent. There are a number of commercial commercial buildings along Hudson Street. Several of them are residential, and they have beautiful backyards. This is one of the smallest spaces you can ever imagine, but it could set a precedent that all of those beautiful gardens would become outdoor spaces for who knows what, and really disturb the peace and quiet and ability to live in that area. So I'll turn it over to the next speaker.
Okay, who wants to go next?
My name is Walter Bushta. I live just across of the Lelabar. I live there with Isabel and my dog Peanut. We've been living there for 13 years now, so we've been around almost as long as the Lelabar. And I just want to speak in general very positive about this place. It's a place where neighbors meet for a glass of wine in the evening, a light snack. It's where couples have their first date. It's where I celebrated my last birthday, and we'll celebrate Isabel's birthday in 2 weeks. I know the place. I've been there at every hour of the day, walking my dog early morning during the day. It's never dirty. I can't imagine there was a noise issue ever. As I said, safe place, a place that's actually what an establishment in the West Village should be. So in favor of giving them a little bit more square footage. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marco Critelli. I live at 3 St. Luke's Place. I just wanted to start by thanking you for organizing this and for giving the community an opportunity to speak. I'm unfortunately here to speak against the proposal to use the backyard space. I heard a comment earlier that there are no tenants to the east of that space. It's actually not true. That would be me. I live on the ground floor of 3 St. Luke's Place. I'm directly to the east of that space. While fortunately the walls are thick, they're not thick enough. We can already hear some noise come from the restaurant, and if they were to open that back space, we'd hear quite a bit of noise. We also have a small backyard of our own that borders directly against that space, and we fear that we'd hear quite a bit of noise late at night during work hours when the restaurant is also open. Myself and my girlfriend live at 3 St. Luke's Place on the ground floor, and we both work from home. So our concern is largely noise, potentially increased foot traffic in that backyard area. And I would echo the thoughts about setting a precedent of turning that entire backyard area into commercial outdoor use, which would certainly increase the noise substantially. I'll just conclude by saying, echoing the earlier thought that a small, narrow area built entirely of cement and bricks is the ideal echo chamber. If I could design an echo chamber, that's what it would look like. And unfortunately, that's what the space looks like. And it would pump noise directly into our apartment, where we're hoping to soon start a family, raise a family, continue working from home, and just enjoying, everyday life. And then the last concern would be safety. Where would people go if there was a fire and they were in that backyard? My thought is that they would come into our backyard, and I don't really see how that's safe or feasible. So I would just say my objection lies exclusively with that backyard area.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hello, my name's John Van Antwerp. I live in the building directly to the north of Lelabar. I've lived there for about 7 years. For the first couple of years, it's great to have somewhere nice to meet friends, coworkers, and things like that. But I don't know specifically what part I would say I object to, kind of the whole thing, the capacity increase in general, whether that's the backyard or the other things that were mentioned. Lelabar does also have sidewalk seating and roadway seating already in use. And like I said, the first couple of years that we lived in the building, it was great to have them there. But during the pandemic era and post-pandemic era, the nicest way I could say it is they pushed boundaries and rules in terms of time that they let their patrons sit out there, noise that their patrons make, sidewalk seating that occasionally blocks the sidewalk or doesn't leave enough room at minimum. Patrons standing in front of our building, blocking the entryway, smoking in front of our building, things like this. And so, like I said, it's really an objective capacity. They don't seem to be able to manage the capacity that they have today. So I don't know why they would be granted more capacity in general.
Yeah, so what building are you in on?
424.
Is that the building, like if you were standing in front of just the left?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the apartment building there that?
Yes.
Okay, so the roadbed structure that was in front there during COVID, I don't think it's there anymore.
It has been removed, yeah, because of the rules. Yeah.
It was very long. Was that entirely the Lelabar?
It was. It was, yeah, the length of the next two buildings, so 3 buildings wide.
Yeah. Okay, and so that extended all the way in front of your building?
All the way in front of our building, the building next to it, yeah.
Okay, and then, the windows also open out, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what time do they close those windows? Do they?
It depends. I've So they have a guitar player, jazz guitar player on Sunday nights. I know his whole repertoire. They leave them open. I mean, sometimes they close them at a reasonable time, depends on the weather. But sometimes it can be later as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paul Durkis and I own 428 Hudson Street. And the first thing that you brought up were the windows. I don't know if you knew about it, but they were replaced. The windows never opened before and that whole facade was changed. Among others.
No, I am familiar with it, and
okay,
they did not come in for an alteration application to change those windows.
Exactly. Plus, all the work that they're talking about now has been completed and they're using already. The extension has all been used, and there's out in the outdoor space, there are places they've used it.
Is the sidewalk still there? Are they still?
No, I'm talking about inside. All the
that inside.
the additional seating, everything's already been built. It's all being used, and they're drinking at the tables in the back and the whole thing. And they've built out the backyard. There's tables to set down your drinks already. And there's tables and chairs in the back in that yard. So is this the cart before the horse? Aren't they supposed to get permission to do this before they do this?
Right.
So that's my big thing with this. And they're also doubling the size of the place. And are at the same time, are they going for liquor license as well, or is it still just going to be beer and wine?
Yep, just beer and wine.
Okay. So, and you just have a approved plan. Did they give you a plan for this? It was approved by the building department?
Not for the rear yard.
How can they present to you? How can they have a meeting tonight without that?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Barrison, and I really just wanted to speak to the noise, the backyard element. They have been a fixture of the neighborhood for a long time. Chris works nonstop there, but this backyard is so small. The walls are so tall. There's actually a short wall on one side that I live in 424 Hudson. So if I'm in my apartment, the backyard's right where you are. So when I'm in my apartment on the third floor, I can be in my kitchen, which means there's a whole living room before. TV can be on, and I can be in the kitchen and on the phone, not even in person, and someone will say, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, no, that's so-and-so having a breakup at the bar downstairs." I mean, it is, and I've said this to them, they're very nice, but it is crystal clear. That's how much that echoes in the back. I mean, like someone said, if you could build an echo chamber, you'd do a little space with 5-story walls on all sides. And I think they have plenty of stuff in the front. They still have tables. I'm sure they have permission, but they still have tables in the road, just the size of so it's a small bar. It's a wonderful neighborhood bar. It should stay, what it is. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Oh, so I would approve the liquor and that it's just the backyard.
Right. No, it's a tavern wine license. That's what it is. They're not upgrading their license. They're just they're looking to expand the space on the inside and add that outside.
And
That's what this application is for.
I do hear people out there, even if the windows are open, it's crystal clear. It's so small.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak on this? I don't believe so, but. Okay, go ahead. Hang on. Yeah. Wait, just hang on one second. Just put the microphone down. It tilts. Yeah.
My name is Beverly Weinstein. I'm the owner of 3 St. Luke's Place. One of the comments that were made was that there was a reach out to the community. My back wall.
Just speak to us, not to them.
Oh, my back, because I'm mad at them. My back wall has a table like this going across it. So my back wall is one of the walls that faces them. Nobody ever called me. Nobody ever left me a note under the door. Nobody ever said anything. And I can say the same thing. A lot of our St. Luke's neighbors is summer or on vacation. Mary Ann has been the head of our neighborhood forever. She never heard from anybody. So in terms of it making any effort to talk to the neighborhood to see how the neighborhood feels, there simply hasn't been one. And to see that they're operating it now, and to claim that they're not is a big surprise to me. So thank you very much for.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
So I can address a few of those comments, and if you have any questions for me, please. We are absolutely not operating in the backyard. If you have proof, please
Come on,
please show it to them. I could tell you 2 times that there were people in the backyard. One was my daughter's first birthday back in November. We had a private party and I opened up the doors and some of our guests hung out in the backyard. 2 was, I don't remember when, but there was a small corporate party that we hosted and the guests let themselves into the backyard. I was on the premises, but I didn't notice it. And one of these folks actually came down and complained, and within an hour, they were out. The counters that are in the backyard are not attached to any of the walls. They're freestanding counters, and they're covered in protective plastic because they're new and we don't want them to be damaged. And again, if you have any proof that we've used the backyard, please show it to the committee because I can tell you I'm there 6 or 7 days a week and it hasn't been used except for those 2 occasions that I told you about. And there are a few stools back there just because they're extra stools and I, put them back there.
So I was just gonna, if somebody noticed right away that somebody was there and you guys didn't know, it's pretty obvious that the space has a very significant impact.
I can attest to that. It is an echo chamber, as been said. Before we would do anything back there, we would work with an architect to build some sort of awning or roof, work with acoustic experts to maintain. I don't know if it's possible, but it's something we would want to explore. We did do that with the interior when the interior was renovated. We did have acoustics experts come in and put in the appropriate materials. So yeah, we're not using that. The extension part of the bar inside, we use as a small little dining room and we just serve food back there.
Okay. You must, okay. I'm just
Please,
gonna let it go.
any
No, I
questions
mean,
you have?
that's right. You serve, I'm sure you serve liquor in the back as well. I mean, you've extended the bar and you're not operating it as 2 separate spaces. I just.
It's a few tables in the back.
So I'm just gonna, which I guess you can't answer, but what I would say, so we can discuss this tonight, is remove the rear yard, keep your hours as they are, and close any doors and windows at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's what I would say, Bob.
Yeah, and anytime there's music playing, close the windows anytime there's music playing, and not use the backyard until you can come back. So using the backyard would be an alteration application where you would be required to give notice to the community board and go to the state liquor authority after you've obtained permission from the DOB or whatever. What used to be there was a ceiling, all right? There was a roof there. So there wouldn't have been a problem, but the landlord took the roof out. How that occurred, I don't know, but that's ultimately what happened here. So that I think is the way it could work, is if you just agree not to use that backyard until you get some permit that allows it and come back and say, here's our permit, community board and all the neighbors, and this is what we're doing to keep things quiet. Is that something that's
said it better than I could? And one thing, I did not mean to offend anyone when I said there weren't any neighbors to the east or the south. I meant there weren't any windows.
Got it.
I know that people live there. They're beautiful buildings. But I meant that there weren't any windows there.
Okay.
Donna.
So, go ahead, Katie.
Is there an echo? What's happening? Okay, thank you. In addition to everything else, we often find that employees go in backyards. You're not serving, no one's serving up back there, so I think we would say that no employees are to go in that backyard either.
I would agree. It's possible it's happened before, but I would totally agree.
Thank you. That's an important caveat. Bob?
Yeah, just so we're clear here, so if there were stipulations, the stipulations in here would be, we're gonna close the windows in the front by 9.
Sure.
No use of the backyard, come back for alteration, and
Yeah, I mean, the windows in the front are really when the sun's out is when we like to have them open. Sometimes a customer, because they have a little lever, they can crack them open. Sometimes a guest will crack them open themselves. And, when we realize it, we'll close them, but I have no problem with 9 o'clock.
but those I think are the stipulations, and I just want to make sure you're able to make that decision as the manager.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'll in terms of operational things, that's me.
Right, but there's going to be a stipulation agreement, if there is one, that's going to say this is mandatory, that this is required as a part of your method of operation.
I would recommend it to the owner. I can't make the decision, but I
Right.
recommend it.
So we can figure this out in the business session.
When can we find out?
Right.
From the owner?
When do you want to?
Can you
Yeah.
make a phone call now?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we could, if you can get the okay now, I think that's much better for everybody that's here. There's a lot of people that showed up.
Go and then just come back. Anthony, did you have something you wanted to ask?
What's the current situation with the seating in the sidewalk in front of your establishment?
Sam is handling the application for us, so he can speak to that.
Just right now, so we took over the case in the sidewalk and the road side. And then we're gonna come out again for discuss about the sidewalk and then the roadway.
So is there seating on the sidewalk?
Okay, is it currently being used at present? Because you didn't include it in your map over here, so.
No, I'm here for just the alteration for the bar and the backyard for today.
Have you applied with DOT for the sidewalk seating? So why are we not even hearing this?
He was up.
I mean,
the sidewalk applied for since in the May. And at the time there's not requirement for community boards at the letters.
He can't serve alcohol out there. I mean, right. I mean, the stipulation said there was no outside. You have a stipulation that says there's no outside. So if you wanted to serve alcohol outside, you were supposed to file for an expansion onto the municipal property. You have not done that. So there can be no alcohol served outside, and we will be making a complaint about that if there's alcohol served outside. I mean, thank you, Anthony. I mean, they have a stipulation that was signed that says that there's no outside. So that means there's no outside. COVID is done. That the liquor authority in, I believe it was June of 2022, if you had a stipulation with your license, it said you did not have service outside, you were supposed to file an alteration or change of method of operation, send a notice to the community board to do so. We never received one. And we don't have one in front of us now. What we have in front of us now is an alteration to expand the bar, which has already been expanded, and to use the rear yard. So that's a problem.
The sidewalk and the can we come out then we come back? Can we just come back for the talk to owners and then find out the closing
Right.
the stipulation first?
But
and then-
either way, that sidewalk, we have nothing in front of us that shows anything. We have no plans. We don't have a notice for it. We don't have anything else. So the sidewalk is not being dealt with tonight. And you can't use it for alcohol. If you applied with DOT, I'm trying to look up what you were applied for. what you had before, what you got from DOT? I mean, did you? Yeah, it'll take me a few minutes to do that, or if somebody else can do it. But yeah, so that you're not supposed to be serving outside. You have a stipulation that said there's no service outside. You didn't file anything to be able to serve outside, so you cannot serve outside. Is that clear? And honestly, I don't understand, quite frankly, why that's not part of this application. I mean,
first of all, I was here for alterations for before that, and then
that's an alteration to serve
yes,
outside as an alteration.
but after that, and then I just find out that they apply for sidewalk and the low side. So once I
And
done,
the side, so.
yes, so I try to get it done first.
Well, they have stipulations saying that there's no outside seating with their liquor license. So go ahead,
I
Clark.
mean, just is that you're in the process of applying for, whichever for the outside. I'm more interested, just if you're going to operate outside, what time would you be willing to close?
Currently, we're closing at 10 outside,
I think
a hard 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the deadline for the DOT application was August 3rd, a few days ago. So we just applied, we just made the application. And we handed it over to Sam to take care of the details.
Because I would, Don, I mean, I don't know what other people on the committee
yeah,
think,
10
but I'd
o'clock.
rather not hear the application again. I'd rather just have an agreement on a closing hours of outside and
Can we at least find out what they're applying for, roadway, sidewalk, how many seats and rough?
I mean, if
that, or we just don't care.
I don't really,
Yeah,
I mean,
you can find it.
I'm more interested in just having the closing hour outside so that we don't have to spend time in our committee reviewing this again. And
Currently it's
But
10
they'll make a
o'clock.
phone call and find out if they'll remove the backyard, close all the doors and windows at 9 o'clock.
Sure.
And if you're gonna have outdoor seating, I'd like to have a rough idea of how many seats are out there and closing at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And Donna, anytime there's music inside, the windows have to be closed, even if it's in an afternoon. You
You're
cannot have,
talking about the jazz band or
yes, the
background
windows
music?
have to be closed. Any music, I believe.
Background music too?
Music is what she's saying.
Okay.
Go call them, then we'll call them back. The next application is going to be RDK Restaurant, Bistro Romy, 180 Spring Street.
Hello.
Okay.
This is Debbie Abraham, and I'm her husband, Roy Abraham. And we are here for an alteration for the sidewalk cafe and the roadway. We have been in this location for 27 years. We had an existing sidewalk cafe for the past 27 years. That's a French bistro. And more or less, we are a neighborhood restaurant.
Okay. So, all right, so you had tables and chairs before. Your hours, what are your hours?
We close Sunday through Thursday at 10:30 and Friday, Saturday at 11:30.
What was Sunday to Thursday?
10:30.
10:30, okay. And all right. So on your drawings, let's see. You have the 3 tables and 6 seats on Spring Street.
Correct.
And then you have 12 tables and 24 seats on Thompson.
Correct. And we will.
That's not how it's currently set up. I'm just trying. There's a shed. So the tables are just going to be 2 top tables next to the building.
Yes.
With the chairs running parallel to the building, not whatever's might be going on. Right, okay. And that will give you the clear path.
Yes.
As long as you stick to that.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have roadbed seating, the road
Correct.
shed, and that has the 4 tops. What is it? 17 tables and 34 seats, I think. I believe so. Yeah, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm counting them as 2 tops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. If you count the 2 tops as 4 tops.
Yes.
Okay. And the 30 seats. Okay. So then, what I'm going to ask is if you would consider closing the roadbed at 10 o'clock and closing the sidewalk at 11 o'clock.
Absolutely, we can do that.
And I mean, I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but that's what I'm going. So that way, because with the roadbed out there, you're pretty much doubling your seating outside. So just to try to get people to not all be leaving at the same time, there are a lot of residents around there. And then one other thing, I went back and read through a number of just our old paperwork, and I see at some of the renewals you had for your sidewalk, because I know you were licensed before for the sidewalk, but every once in a while they crept out of their area. So just make sure that they stay in their area. Yeah, you have to use the mic. You have to share the microphone.
Sorry about that. It would be very helpful if we got the 4 tops in the roadway to definitely accomplish that and make sure that that is consistent, just because it's really, how do you explain to a customer?
Right.
So we can't sit you at 4 tops. You could
So
have
here's our problem that's going to be with that street. That street is about 26 feet wide, and there's alternate side parking on the other. There's parking on the other side, so that's 8 feet. And your roadbed is 7.5 feet, I think. Anyway, it's 10.5 feet is left on the road, and the emergency lane is supposed to be 15 feet. And that's going to be that's what DOT is requiring. So I don't know that it's possible for you to have, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's possible for that roadway because they require a 15-foot emergency lane.
I also know is we had an architect do this.
I think they said, when I spoke to the architect, he said it's under the discretion of the GOT, which is we have a shed now and.
Right. So just so you're aware, from my understanding is it's under the discretion of FDNY, and FDNY has to authorize a waiver for it.
Correct.
And we don't know that FDNY will do that, but 10.5 is a big waiver from 15. So I want to make sure that you're aware that may not.
Actually, I wasn't aware.
It's also a shared bike lane.
Right.
It's also a shared bike lane on the roadway. So you're asking for a waiver of 1/3 of the emergency lane.
So if we cannot get a waiver from the fire department, could we just take away the deuces and keep the four tops?
That's
That's
not-
still in the roadway.
I mean, yeah.
Right. But I'm hoping that that would give the extra 5 feet if the fire department doesn't waive it.
That's up to DOT and
Right.
however they're
Right.
handling the waivers, but we're just pointing out to you sort of the reality. I mean, look, it's dangerous riding down your road shed. You have a car chasing you. If you're riding a bike, you have a car chasing you because there's nowhere to pass. And if you go further down, there's an extra foot on your side because cars aren't 8 feet wide. I mean, that's what happens, and so it's not just the fire department, it's just also regular people who, who are moving around, and particularly because people are going down there to get down to the tunnels and everything else. So you get a lot of heavy traffic, as you guys are aware.
I think we're gonna do whatever the DOT says. If they said we can have roadway, we can't.
Okay, but you're okay with the 10 o'clock, the 11 o'clock?
10 o'clock and 11 o'clock is fine, actually.
Okay, and then, and that sidewalk, you have the French doors on Spring Street.
Correct.
That it looks like from the diagram, you're serving from them instead of before you were serving
Yes.
the other way. So you'll close them at 11 o'clock as well.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those 3 tables. I mean, you can still, those 3 tables, close the doors at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So that seating's gonna end then anyway.
Right.
So it won't. Right. Okay. Okay. I know I have a number of people here from the public on this one, so we'll let them,
Thank you.
okay. So Darlene, Lutz, both of, you're both speaking, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Darlene Lutz. I am a longtime resident in CB2. This is in my neighborhood. I've lived here for 48 years now. So Soho is my neighborhood. I know it very well. Patronized a lot of the local businesses over the years. I am particularly interested in having some civility come back to our streets after COVID. It's been very difficult to have enforcement done on quality of life issues. I appreciate that this has been a long time business, 26 years, correct? I have double that time as a resident in this neighborhood. So I hope my feelings on it matter. Outdoor dining has really been tremendously stressful for people who live in the neighborhood. Our streets just can't accommodate it. It brings a lot of crowds, rats, all the disasters. We don't have to go through that. In 2020, I was very frightened. And I believe I mentioned to the DOT whiz kid at the time, I said, this behavior is going to be baked in, and it has been. We don't want sheds on our streets. We want them off. The restaurants, some of the restaurants, this restaurant has good outdoor cafe seating that can be accommodated, good for them. Everybody doesn't get everything that they want. Every restaurant can have outdoor dining. Them's the breaks. So I'd like to see the sheds gone. They are not compliant. They're going to have to be gone and redone because they're not compliant with what the DOT is stressing for the permanent program. So November, these should disappear and they're going to have to come back and reconfigure the amount of seating or something. I don't know. I don't want roadbed seating in this part of Soho, anywhere in Soho. Also, they operate the open street. We discussed this at another meeting on Spring Street. Now, half of it's been reopened, but from Thompson to West Broadway is under their control. whether they close it or not. I'm not there every day, but still it's going to force traffic now coming across Spring Street. These are all problems and it's for their benefit only. It's not for the benefit of anybody who lives around there. It's for the benefit of the businesses. It was supposed open streets were supposed to be for, outdoor activity for residents. That was never true. So let's get rid of it because now it's only driving traffic down a one-lane street, which is Thompson, which is also the shared bike lane. And directly adjacent right now to Bistro Les Amis is a massive condo construction site. I mean, this is just a cluster of construction activity. The building next to them is under, scaffolding. Yes, we have a lot of construction going on. It's a pain for everybody, but I'm getting based here. Let's get some normalcy back. I'm good with their outdoor seating as it was, as it was the Sidewalk Cafe, as it was stated. I can't remember what year, before COVID, good for them. Keep their dining stations and stuff from outside. We're clean, we have rat problem, we're all good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sherry?
Hi, I'm Sherry Leone. I live in the neighborhood fairly close to where the Bistro Les Amis is. And okay, how's that? Okay, sorry. As you pointed out, the proposed Thompson Street roadway dining structure is problematic because the travel lane that will be left when even if they do their 7.5 foot width of the shed is going to not result in a very compliant travel lane. Any questions, which I will address to you, pass them on to the operators. They've been able to enjoy outdoor dining since even before these temporary cooking restaurants program was in place. And I know they will continue to enjoy the benefits of that no matter what happens with the roadway dining structures. They currently have a roadway dining structure on Spring Street. So the question is, are they planning to remove that? That is not in the site plan at all. As far as the one on Thompson Street, the current structure, I know this may not be what is envisioned, but since there isn't an elevation view of what they have here, it's hard to say what exactly that's going to look like. What it looks like now is a building with 4 walls. And there are parts of that that are non-compliant with permanent rules, such as the walls are affixed to the outside of the barriers that are protecting that site. That site is 8 feet 4 inches wide. It's about 40 feet long. It has electricity running to it, which they haven't applied for in this application. The fans inside. There's an operable window on the south side of that structure and a door on the sidewalk facing side. All of these things probably should be counted for, or at least explained on the application. Those are the main things actually that I think there's final advertising sheets on the roadway facing side of that structure as well. So I'm sure that the operator will be able to answer all the questions about whether that is also going to, moving forward, be included in whatever it is that they envision for that site on Thompson Street. I think that wraps up what my concerns would be, other than concerns that you've listed about the safety of the street in general. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, come on back up.
I can answer some of those questions.
Okay, perfect.
The structure on Thompson Street will be removed by the end of I think, November 30th. And for next year, we will build what the GOT is required us. It's going to be an open, there's no walls and there is no, no shed at all. That's the new requirement. In regards to Spring Street and Auburn Street, we haven't been really closing Auburn Street, that street, because of the construction. to keep the traffic moving. There's always traffic on Thompson Street going to the tunnel. And, you know, we open the street when there's a lot of traffic, but nobody makes a left turn. They all waiting to go to the tunnel. The shed on Spring Street will be removed. It's part of that open street. I asked the architect if we should apply for that. And he said, no, that was open street. And we had, you know, a drawing, and the DOT did approve it.
So is the shed on Spring Street going away?
It's going to be going away,
It's
yes.
going away.
As soon as open street ends, that would be going away.
When is that?
There is no really shed. It's just. Go ahead.
Sorry. There is no shed on Spring Street because of the construction. They asked us to tear it down. So we were trying to already accommodate the neighborhood and we had torn it down. What is there, or what was allowed by the DOT during COVID till the breakdown, which is November 30th, is there's a couple chairs with the barriers instead of the shed.
On Spring Street?
On Spring Street. And actually, when we applied for it, the DOT sent us 6 tables and the chairs.
But you did you apply for, just so I'm clear, that's not part of your DOT
This is not part
application?
of this. This is part of open street.
Okay, so. All right, so the one thing is, everything has to be compliant.
Correct.
By November 1st, not November 30th. So,
Yes.
so just whatever happens with any roadbed on
Right.
Thompson Street, which is totally not compliant right now.
Right.
You can either get rid of it on November 1st, or you can make it compliant on November 1st if DOT lets you have, you know, if you get whatever waivers you need, or however you figure that out. But I just want to make sure we know it's November 1st, everything has to be compliant with everything.
I think everything on Thompson Street, if the DOT in our application said you can have it, it's going to be removed.
Okay.
We actually don't have any problem. There was a problem with the rats because of the construction across the street from us.
Yeah.
And the building next to us on Spring. That problem is somehow is much better at this point.
And what about, are you, not that it really matters, but are you putting electric in the roadbed, or
That was done during COVID.
are you gonna do that with the new, once you
No,
bring
that-
it in? So you're not gonna have fans out there or
No,
anything?
no.
If you're able to have any roadbed, you're not having electric out there?
Absolutely no fan, no
Okay.
electricity, nothing. It will
Okay,
it'll be on Thompson Street for next year.
okay. Does anybody from the committee have anything further? Carter?
So when are you going to remove the illegal advertising?
We're gonna stop it.
Because it's not supposed to be on there. period.
Correct. Yes,
I mean,
that'll be removed.
that's, and then number 2, so what, can you explain what's happening with the open street?
Open Street, we applied for it, and I think you have to have 3 restaurants where you can put tables.
Right, but
outside.
going forward, I mean, what's the plan for the open street?
Well, I think it ends in same time in November, and
Right, but because it's already approved,
yes,
you have 90 days, right, from the time it's approved technically to apply it to the liquor authority in order to serve alcohol on the street.
right.
It's unclear because it's not in their guidance, but you don't have that diagrammed anywhere. So, you know, there's nothing on there that we can see. And even in the future, until you amend your liquor license, you won't be able to serve alcohol in the
Correct.
street.
We
So
will amend.
So I'm
that.
just wondering what your plans are going forward. Again, you know, what is the plan for that?
For Open Street.
Right.
We'll apply for that eventually, and we'll have a new plan for it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you know, that's the open dining, open street. There's not that many participants in it that are serving alcohol. So I don't think there's a lot of attention focused on it. But the liquor authority does have some minimal guidance. And one is that you can only serve to the 50% point in the street. And number two, you have to let them know you're doing it. And so, for that, I don't think that you've let them know that you have been doing it or that you will be doing it. And that's something that has to be addressed. I'm not saying there's good guidance, but it still has to be addressed at some point.
We will address
And
that.
so you're just going to hold off on doing that.
Right.
That part of that now. Okay. So you won't be serving alcohol in the street until you come back to us in the future to amend that.
On which street? I don't understand.
On Spring Street.
On Spring Street. I believe our lawyer, when we had our sidewalk cafe, we had, we did the alteration to serve alcohol for our side.
No,
existing
right. I'm
sidewalk
not
cafe.
talking about the sidewalk cafe. I'm talking about the open street service in the road
The open
bed
street,
itself.
yes, we will.
So
That's no problem.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Are we? Okay. Okay, it does. Thank you. Okay. The next application we are going to hear is Gray Dog, 49 Carmine. Just to explain, Mike Kelly was supposed to, I don't need, is anything any different from what Mike sent in? Do you know? Is anything, what's different? Yeah, so just to explain to the committee and anybody who's here, because of the rain, Mike Kelly could not get in, so he is not here. So David Ethan, the applicant, is here representing himself. So go ahead.
Yep, I altered it because he had it wrong. I'm only asking for 5 bar stools and the closing time he had was midnight. I close at 9 o'clock. So
But are you changing your hours to be closing at 9 o'clock? Because if we stipulate you're closing at 9 o'clock, that's when you're closing.
no, I put on there 10 o'clock just in case there's ever a time where I'd like to close at 10 o'clock, but we close at 9 currently at all our locations. So I just changed it to 10.
Okay,
So for clarity, 5 bar stools and closing time 10 o'clock latest, 7 days a week.
okay. So this is, just to be clear, this is an on-premise restaurant that's an alteration application to, do you want to go through it? Because they tell everybody what this is an application for.
This application is I have an existing bar, which used to be a coffee ordering location. When due to COVID, when we couldn't walk up to the counter anymore, we switched to table service. So I have
So you also upgraded too.
I'm sorry?
There used to be a restaurant wine license and you upgraded the license to an on-premise also.
Correct. So it's a service bar. But it doesn't make sense for our location because it takes up a large part of the location and it's confusing to customers because it looks like you're still supposed to order at the counter, but we switched to table service. So I'm asking for just to put 5 bar stools in there to make it make sense.
Okay. So then the other thing that's in here but not in here is the outdoor seating. Have you applied with DOT, which I guess you have?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you apply for?
I applied for curbside. I don't know the language that Mike.
Roadway or sidewalk?
Both of them, sidewalk and roadway.
And where did you apply for that?
Applied for the Bedford side. And the Bedford side in the roadbed. And the Carmine sidewalk side in front of the restaurant.
Okay. But you didn't send us anything. It's not part of what we're hearing.
It's not part of what we're hearing tonight.
Okay. And you have stipulations for no alcohol service outside.
Correct.
So without changing that, there's no alcohol service outside.
I put up a sign that we can't serve alcohol outside. Yes.
Well, okay, yeah. Do you intend to apply for alcohol service outside?
Yes.
Okay, so why did we not send anything in to us?
I was unaware of it. I mean, I
It's too
didn't.
bad Mike isn't here because I'm just gonna say, I emailed 3 times last week asking if that was gonna be included in this, and he told me Monday morning that you had said that you did not want it part of this application. So,
Well, it's supposed to be for the next time. Right now, it's just supposed to be for the indoor alteration. That's supposed to be for next month.
okay. All right, what else? So. Does anybody else from the committee have anything? I'm not sure where to, I mean.
I do have a question, Donna.
Go ahead, Katie.
Even though we're not talking about the outside, you didn't mention the Carmine Street shed that's on this diagram. Are you going to be applying for roadbed on Carmine Street as well?
No.
Okay, well, it's on two drawings here, so I'm gonna take it off.
I'm sorry for anything that's not clear. I don't have Mike here with me tonight. It's when we discussed DOT, we're not applying for anything on the Carmine Street side in the road, correct?
So when is that coming down? I guess would be the next question.
Before November 1st.
Right. Okay. And then you're having sidewalk, you applied for the sidewalk, you need a 10-foot clearance on there on Carmine Street.
It's 12.
So you have to fit the tables and serve everybody in that 2 feet. You have to put the tables and serve people in that 2 feet. It's a 10-foot clearance. On Carmine Street, you need, it's a regional corridor, you need 10 feet of clearance with the seating. That's all I'm saying. And you have a street light and you have the 2 tables, you've got to fit the tables in, and any service needs to happen so that there's a 10-foot clear path.
As far as I know, the DOT has been out there over 40 times. They've seen it, they've measured it, they've walked it off.
They've been out there 40 times already. That's all with the temporary program that that was with the temporary program.
Yeah.
So this is the real program with the real rules that it's supposed to be 10 feet. So I don't know how that fits, but. Okay. Anybody else from the committee right now, Carter?
I just had some questions. I mean, obviously COVID had a lot of things, but on your other location, you were serving alcohol illegally on Mulberry Street. You had set up a bar on the street during San Gennaro in the last 2 years. And, with the actual bar, you didn't have a license out there that I saw. I don't think that the liquor authority issues licenses for bars on the street, but you had the bars on the street. And I was wondering if, what that's about.
As far as I know, I check in with Mike about San Gennaro and he tells me what I'm able to do legally. And the explanation was and has been that as long as I have a on-premise license, I can I can use it outdoor space. I'm not aware of any other ruling.
Yeah, but you had your bar set up outside in the
As-
roadbed structure. Did you
as-
have a,
As because I was renting a space from San Gennaro.
yeah, but did you have a license for that? As you know, you own many places, you have to have a physical license hanging above each stand-up bar
Yeah.
or service bar. Did you
yeah.
have a separate one for outside?
We had what San Gennaro issued.
Yeah, but from the liquor authority is what I'm saying.
Whatever Mike set up for us, we had. You know,
And did you provide notice to the community board for the additional bar outside?
Like I said,
And
just-
what food were you selling with that alcohol to go?
it was the full menu from the restaurant.
And where was that posted on the outside of it?
We had a sign with the menu offerings out there.
I mean, the sign you had was bourbon, sweet tea, frosé, white sangria, spiked Palmer. There's no food menus outside.
There were two signs posted. One of them, we were selling food out there. That was the idea.
And every single drink was accompanied by a substantive food item.
I'm sorry, what?
Every single drink that was sold was accompanied by a substantive food item to go in sealed container. Okay, so when I tell Mike's the person you're saying that he said it's okay for you to set up a bar in the street,
Yeah, with
sell drinks to go
Yeah,
to
he's-
walk around with.
he's my guy. If for all questions like this, I go to him and say, Mike, what's the rules on this? And he says, this is what you need to do. So as far as I've always operated like I was completely compliant.
Okay, but you didn't have a certificate for that bar from the liquor authority and have it displayed prominently in the bar space?
I was told that my certificate acts as makes me allowed to be able to do that out there.
It allows you one service point.
I said,
I mean, that's why they have additional licenses. Okay, so I mean, from what I can see, I mean, doesn't look like it's legal service, which is why I'm just concerned because, it's just like, the sign that was posted today or whenever that's outside says circumstances beyond your control that you can't serve alcohol, but you actually signed the stipulation that said will not have any alcohol service outside. It's not somebody else's. You had actively signed that as a part of the condition of applying for your on-premise liquor license. You'd signed stipulations that said there will be no outdoor service of alcohol.
it's correct before COVID.
No, it was during COVID.
Oh,
That's when you applied to upgrade your liquor license. In fact, it was well into COVID. It was
Yeah,
in
okay.
2021. So, I mean, that's not anybody else. I mean, that was a part of the condition of upgrading that license.
It's part of the
And
public interest.
technically now haven't been allowed to serve alcohol outside either because you had an existing stipulation that
Mhm.
said that there'd be no service of all alcohol outside. So I'm just concerned, that all these changes and, that they're leading up to situations where it's not compliant with any of the regulations. Everything seems to just be temporary or, oh, so-and-so told me instead of just complying with the actual regulations. So. And just to make another point, it's unsafe riding a bicycle up your street on Bedford. It's totally unsafe. I mean, you can't cars. I mean, there's no extra space on either side there.
So, okay. He is right about the service of alcohol outside. You were supposed to send something to us as the other people were about serving outside. We were supposed to get a notice. You can tell Mike that, which I've sent to Mike. And I don't know that the roadbed is you're in the same situation. It's 24 feet on that street. So there's no 15 and there's parking across the street. There's no 15 foot emergency lane. So unless FDNY is yet again doing another waiver for 4 feet, there can't be a 7.5 foot road bed out there. Just telling you that.
And Donna,
Yes.
I don't know how the fire trucks come now, but they used to be from the Hudson Street. They used to come up Bedford Street when I lived on that block. So, but I don't know with the re-engineering how often they come up, but it could be a thoroughfare if they redo the, the intersection.
So. Just, there's not room, but we have people here from the public, so I'll let them speak. And
Right. I feel inclined to say that I've been waiting for DOT for a long time to issue whatever we're supposed to follow. Right. And now they have these rules. I've applied for them. I don't know what they're going to approve. Right. I'm doing whatever I'm doing whatever they say is cool.
But,
Yeah.
but with us, you signed stipulations that said you had no outdoor seating. That was part of the public interest we went through when you came for your upgrade for your license. And so as much as we're running through these things about if your outside can fit or not fit, you're not asking us to approve you for the service of alcohol outside because you decided not to include that with this application. So I mean, that is why there's no service of alcohol outside, because you signed a stipulation that said so. So Dakota's point, it's not beyond your control. That's why you signed a stipulation for no service of alcohol and you've done nothing to change that. Cormac?
Yeah, I mean, the point is that I understand you're waiting for the DOT. It's like been like a Beckett play, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter what the DOT says because you have already promised not to serve alcohol outside anyway.
I get it. I think when we break it down, right? I didn't use Mike to apply for the outdoor seating, right? I did that myself. I didn't think about the stipulations. My mind wasn't there. This is the first time I'm hearing that I signed the stipulations.
I hear you, but
I'm not trying to pull one over on community board number 2. This is the first time I've heard of this.
Sign them. I mean, I'm just going to sorry, Cormac, but you signed the stipulation, so it can't be the first time you've heard about them because you signed them in 21. That I'm just want to clarify that. It's your signature.
Irregardless, as my friends in Jersey say, right? The reality is what's sort of difficult for us here is you're coming about one thing here, but you're also telling us, or at least I'm understanding that you plan to come back at some point because you're looking at outdoor seating with a change to seek service of alcohol outside. And the problem is that we don't want to look at today's change in isolation from what the whole package of changes is going to be. Right. And so that's what we're trying to get, why we're trying to get really clear on what's going to happen here.
Okay, I'll have people from the public, so we'll go to the public. You need to put the microphone back so they can use it. Thank you. Okay, I have Andrea Meyer, Leif Artson, Leslie Clark, David Gruber, I presume.
So I live on Carmine Street.
State your name first.
And I'm Andrea Meyer. I live at 65 Carmine Street. Gray Dog has been there for many, many years. They were a family. I think they describe themselves as a family restaurant. And it was really breakfast lunch place. And that was nice. It seems like the whole concept has changed, but at any rate, the whole, I don't want to, you guys have commented on whether they're going to serve alcohol outside, and that's a little very odd that it's not stated right away. I really want to comment on, I know you want a bar, with 5 seats, which is a bar because people congregate and it will be a full bar. And that's an ask. So for that ask, to back that, to get the community to back that, you got to get rid of that shed on Bedford. It's horrible. It's very long. I measured the street today and you said it was 24 feet. I got 24 feet, 1 inch. So
That's what I got too.
yeah. The other night, I think it was last night, my neighbor, Melissa Cots, who lives across from me, was coming home around 6. A fire truck couldn't get through because there was some kind of vehicle. I don't remember. She said it was a truck or a car that was this somewhat oversized parked there. And they were stuck. The fire truck. She doesn't know how it was resolved. I don't think, somebody else here asked for a variance. We don't want variances. We live there and we care about fire trucks and ambulances getting through. That's a ridiculously narrow street. You know it. We all know it. Okay. Everybody knows that's an insanely narrow street. The sidewalk is narrow. There should be no seating there. It's insane. I mean, and if somebody wants something, this is the 4th time I know Grey Dog is applying for the bar situation. I mean, it just seems kind of obvious to me that you got to give something up, that we're not there to serve the restaurants. We love all the restaurants. I was counting them today. I stopped at 13. I know there are more. And we've all been getting along. COVID's been tough, but it's not our job as residents to make each and every individual restaurant with 1 owner, 2 owners work. We want them to be successful. We've made restaurants that we've worked with Splinto and Ya. And David, what's the Asian restaurant at the corner? 3 of them took down their sheds, top tied. 3 of them took down their sheds, and there's little things that aren't quite right, but we really get along, and they knew what was important to them. And in fact, one of the owners of Ya said, you can't exist. No, it was Splinto who said, you can't exist if you don't get along with the neighborhood. And we want that shed out. It's also insanely long, insanely. But I mean, it's probably legal because I think it's the length of the storefront. I'm not sure, but we all know that it's just a ridiculous thing to be there. When the lease was originally signed, they didn't have outdoor seating. I mean, so I don't, that was what they had to work with. And I would think that they can again, or sometimes think rest places have to move on. There's 3 other locations. Perhaps it's time to move on from Carmine Street if this restaurant can't exist without that shed.
So, thank you. Who's next?
I just wrote a statement that I'd like to read for the record. Grey Dog has enjoyed community support since first opening in the 90s. I raised my family, including our dog Russie, who lived in the neighborhood for 19 years, sneaking in for treats years after David had to kick out the dogs. In the early years, David was around all the time. Yes, Russie was just a dog, but there was a good story there. I was welcome, along with all the families and friends who brought there for 2.5 decades. Things have changed. It's been years since I've seen you, David. So I have conflicting feelings all these years later to have to come here to help me with another long-time restaurant looking to convert to bar business. There is no choice for residents but to fight this trend, including this application. I would just say that in return for decades of neighborhood support, we are entitled to have concerns be taken seriously. Everybody knows the quality of life in our neighborhood has been harmed by the explosion of liquor licenses and mixed-use conversions to alcohol tourism. Everybody knows the sheds have shredded neighborhood norms, yet Dog chose to keep operating them, now looking to establish a bar business inside. Why are the sheds still up? Why would a family restaurant start up a bar business? They intend to extend that alcohol business outside in the roadways. What happened to the slogan, Dog, the neighborhood's best friend? In the sheds and converting to bar business, more and more the Dog group is headed for a more and more contentious relationship with the neighborhood. Not a good direction for any small business. Residents' distrust in this neighborhood for this industry is at an all-time high. If Dog wants more of that instead of less of it, then so do it. Close my comments. In this day and age, with extraordinary pressures on a community from this single industry, wanting to convert their family restaurant to bar business goes against Dog, a neighborhood's best friend. We urge the owners to respect our experience and concerns, withdraw the request to build a bar inside, and to immediately remove the sheds on both Carmine and Bedford. In return, I'm sure this neighborhood will do what it's always done, be welcoming in the day-to-day and good customers year in and year out, people without a dog. Thank you.
Thank you. David, you want to go? Who's going, Leslie?
Take it down. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Leslie Clark. I'm with West Village Residents. And I also live on West 4th Street. And I am here to oppose the application that I have just heard described because in fact, it seems to me to be chaotic and actually completely unreliable. The proprietor has told you that he didn't know that he signed stipulations that presumably he's supposed to have been following since he signed them. And the proprietor has told you that he doesn't know what the rules are for the permanent program, which were issued in April. That's 4 months ago. Anybody can read 31 pages in 4 months. So I'm finding this a very unreliable situation. I also know that street extremely well. I walked down it the other night at 5 o'clock, and it's a very narrow sidewalk, and walking between the shed and the building, e-bikes were coming racing at me on the sidewalk saying, sorry, we can't get by on the road. Yeah, because the road is filled with traffic that's made worse by their shed. So now I've got to defend myself against e-bikes because of that shed. That shed does not allow enough room for an emergency traveling. I just find it hard to believe that a restaurant would actually want the FDNY to give them permission to deny residents fire engines and ambulances that they need for their basic safety. This proprietor would like to have 5 bar stools. I would like to have the basic safety of my neighborhood back. He says he's going to take down his Carmine Street shed on November 1st. The rules, it's on page 28, by the way, of the rules state that if you haven't applied for that by August 3rd, it has to come down on August 4th. And he's giving you November 1st. West Village Residents opposes this application, and we hope that both of these sheds will come down. Thank you.
Thank you. David, are you?
My name is David Gruber, and although I'm a member of CB2, I speak to you tonight as president of the Carmine Street Block Association. And before I begin my remarks, I want to say that I think that this is the 4th time that Grey Dog has been on our calendar. And now in the middle of August, when residents in our district are away, we would have had many more people coming testify. And I think it's, whether it was intentional or not intentional, I feel as it was manipulative. Seeing that this is the fourth time, excuse me, I'm sorry, getting over a cough. And I feel like the community board is being treated like a restaurant reservation. They come on, they lay it over, they come on, they lay it over. And now we're in the middle of August and all of a sudden, Grey Dog is here. Okay. The application says it's a family restaurant. I don't know why they have to have a bar with seats on it. When he came initially, he said it was a family restaurant and he wanted a service bar. And people are having something to eat and they'd like a cocktail or a drink, they'll bring it to the table. Having a sit down at the bar is a different kind of restaurant, different kind of vibration. And it kind of like doesn't feel when you have that like a family restaurant, although that is what is on the current application as well. Irrespective of the hours, whether it's 10, 9, 8, 9, 7, midnight, when you have a sit down counter, and it kind of almost emulates, in my eyes, what Bandits does, or Banditos, I forget, a block down the street. They have a bar, they serve food, and it's like morphed into a bar. That's what it is. It's a bar. It's no longer like a family place. And so if this is going to be a family restaurant, as he's proposing in his application, I don't see why we should grant a change of method of operation if that's the case. Let's go over to the sheds, which is the main sore point in this community. The Carmine Street shed is illegal. It's too close to the corner. It extends over their property line of the restaurant, of the demise premise of the restaurant, I should say, not of the building. And it's small. I understand that this is all doesn't fit into the guidelines. I'm not sure why we have to wait till November 1st to take it down. Carmine Street has not been cleaned in almost 5 years. I'm going to say it again. Carmine Street has not been swept by the mechanical trucks in almost 5 years. And that's because they won't sweep it while they're sheds. We've gotten rid of many of the sheds on Carmine Street, and slowly we're going to get rid of the other ones as well. Around Grey Dog, you will go out tonight. When it rains, there's pools of water that are not, and I'm not talking about immediately after the rain. I'm talking about 3 days later. I've been over there. You know, there's dirt and garbage, sometimes food floating around in these pools of rancid water because they're not cleaned, you know, and the mechanical trucks are not there because we have sheds. So the Carmine Street shed, I don't know why we have to wait till November 1st to get rid of that shed. Out of the question and completely unacceptable. As I said, it's not only the regulations, it's out of regulation on everything beyond the demise premise, too close to the curb. This operator has taken every inch permissible. He has 2 sheds because he's on a corner, okay. And then he has outdoor seating, which is really closes down the sidewalk. Every inch that he could find, he took it. And one would think that he's always full and he needs the extra space, but he's not. So you got people sitting outside in the sheds while there's plenty of seats inside. And I think as Andrea said, when he rented the space, he knew, because everybody knew, that Carmine was in an R zone and outdoor seating was not permissible. He signed the step, understanding that regulation, that he would not seek it. And so what happens is he's saying, well, now that there's these new regs, I could do it. I know I signed the ship. No one had a gun to his head to sign the lease when he went there, knowing there was no outdoor seating. Now let's talk about the big 800-pound elephant is the Bedford Street side. You know, God forbid there's a fire. I know I have a car. I go down Bedford Street. I have a small car and I have to navigate my small car very slowly down Carmine Street.
No room.
Whoever has a car, Donna knows. And so what happens is a fire truck is bigger. And sometimes they got to put out those outlying flanges to stabilize it. And there's parking on one side of Bedford Street. And then he's got a 24-foot street bed. He's got 7 feet on his shed. And I'm telling you, if there's a fire or if there's an emergency, those ambulances are getting bigger and wider. You know, they're going to have trouble negotiating. This is not my fantasy or my thoughts. I know I drive my little car, my much narrower car than an ambulance and a fire truck, and you have to slowly negotiate. Sometimes I have to put in my side windows to make sure I don't hit anything. So, you know, it's a real problem for this community. And now he comes and says, you know, we'd like community support to change our method of operation. Okay. So here we're saying, you know, you want something from us, give us something. But I don't see anything. November 1st for Carmine Street, get rid of both sheds, you know, get rid of them. They shouldn't be there. Be a good neighbor, you know, and it's not like, you know, it's the overflow and you can't make it. You never fill that restaurant as far as we could see from observation. He just wants it. It's like kind of having an 8-cylinder car in Manhattan. I just want it because it exists. I just want it.
So,
and that's where we are with Gray Dog. So I've said it, everything I'm going to say. If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain it. Thank you.
thank you. Cormac.
Yeah, could you repeat your name again and where it is that you live?
Well, Cormac, sorry. I would do that. But you know, you're supposed to, if you're a member of the community board and you're testifying, but you don't know that because, you know, but I do. You're supposed to identify that you're not speaking as a member of the community board, but you're speaking for another organization. I did. So you didn't get my name. I'll give you my card later. Salmon shirted Cormac. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay. Nope. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Okay. Microphone. So is there anything to say to anything?
Well, first,
You're talking to us.
Well, first, I want to apologize to, you know, my friends that have been part of, you know, the Gray Dog family for, you know, 28 years. I recognize I let them down. To see them stand up here is pretty crushing. As far as, you know, what I'm willing to do, I'm willing to make right. So, you know, that would be, you know, I'm willing to make right, you know. And just to talk about, you know, the family restaurant, because I feel that's a little bit unfair. My business made the bulk of its income on the traffic from West 4th Street to Hudson and Varick. We were a daytime restaurant that fed our ecosystem. We were part of the ecosystem for all the businesses there. With the 1, 2, maybe 3-day work week, we've had to pivot to include all day. Yes, we were a breakfast, lunch, primary restaurant. We've always stayed open until, you know, later in the day, 10, 11 o'clock, but we didn't need those hours. Today, with the lack of traffic that comes down here, we need those hours. Right. And that's why we applied for the liquor license, because we needed happy hour. It wasn't going to happen. So we're still the family restaurant. And I apologize to my friends in the neighborhood. I probably could. I could make things better. I want to be that place.
How? That's what I care about tonight is how.
I don't know. I mean, what
Okay.
can, talk to me.
I'm right. Get rid of the roadbed
I will.
now. I mean, you've already applied for Bedford, so if that's,
Let me start with, I'll pull my permit. I'll pull my application, right, for DOT. What's that?
for what? What all of them?
For the roadway, for
On
roadway.
Bedford.
On Bedford and Carmine, or I won't have anything in the roadways. All right. It's,
Right.
I'll pull that. I'll tell Mike in the morning, we're out. All right.
So that leaves you 3 seats on Carmine Street. That leaves you 3 seats on Carmine Street if they fit, which I don't know that they
That leaves
do.
me 3 seats on Carmine Street if they fit. Yes.
Okay. All right. And what, Katie?
What about the request that you remove the road the shed tomorrow?
Well, I don't want to deceive you and say I could do it tomorrow. It takes work. I will make a promise that I'll get the Carmine shed out of there as soon as possible, right? That's something David mentioned. And as far as the, let me talk to my brother and figure out what we could do with the Bedford shed. It's, I don't want to commit right now to when that's going to come down. It's coming down and it won't be replaced.
So, right, I mean, I'm at a little bit, do you want to just lay this over? Again, you've laid it over a bunch of times.
Let me say, I will get the Bedford
You
Street.
have to make a decision on this
Yeah,
tonight.
no,
just to
I
be
get it.
clear on that.
I know, I'm trying to make this. I mean, I'm coming from the heart.
so-
Right. Okay. September 30th, Bedford Street, is gone. Carmine Street will be gone by the
End of
August.
Okay. And just to go back, just for my clarity on your hours, you said you're closing at 10. I mean, are you asking to change your hours right now? Your stipulations say you close at 12. Are you changing your hours to close at 10, or are you keeping them at 12 and nobody stops you from closing earlier? I just want clarity on that. That's
clarity in closing it. Clarity is for the purposes of
Your license.
stipulations. I'm
Yeah.
not going to stay open later than 10 p.m. ever.
okay.
Reality is all Gray Dogs close at 9 p.m. currently.
I mean, people that depend on you for lunch and stuff like that are more upset if you're close to lunch when you're a lunch place than, so I don't think people are going to be upset if you close at 9 instead of 10 or 8, but
They won't be.
Yeah, okay.
I would love to actually have to stay open till 10.
there's
It's
not
not
many
happening.
places that are around for lunch, so I think people really.
Right? It's not
appreciate that.
happening.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
What I'm asking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't know if you could do this, would be, I'd love to keep things status quo with being able to serve outside up until the 30th of September, where, I don't have a massive disruption.
But right now you can't serve alcohol outside, and that you had to have come earlier, I believe, to have that change between now and September 30th.
And so we can't do anything about that.
You can't do anything about that. I mean, that should have been filed for.
Got it.
And it still hasn't been filed for. I still don't have a notice for it, so,
Got it.
for that's at. Huh? Okay, I think everybody good? Good. Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks a lot. The next application is HHLP Union Square. It's an endorsement. We're just reviewing, so.
It's under E.
Yeah.
And they drive on it.
E number 1.
You're welcome, David.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi. Sorry.
good evening. All good. Joseph Levy here on behalf of the individual being added as a co-licensee on this application. The application was before this board well previously. Space has been licensed for about 12 years, a hotel, obviously hotel liquor license. There had been an F&B operator as a co-licensee. That F&B operator is being removed in place of a new F&B operator. And the new F&B operator is the reason why we're here tonight. Unfortunately, counsel for the hotel couldn't be here tonight. He got stuck, but you guys are stuck with me.
Okay. And so the one thing, so the hotel was here. We have stipulations on the hotel license. Nothing about that has changed.
We're aware of the
Wanna
stipulations,
make it
aware of the
very
memo of
clear that
understanding.
those stipulations, even though there's something with the community in there that goes way back that mentions a rooftop, there is no rooftop with this. There was never a rooftop with any application that came to us, so there's no rooftop involved with that.
There's stipulations in here that I see from 2023, which is the most updated version.
Yeah.
We're aware of those. We're aware of the memo of understanding and happy to oblige by.
Okay, so then I'm gonna go into some of the other things that we raised when we found out about this. And the one I'm really gonna start, there have been problems with Whitehorse, which is Mr. Sugarman's other establishment. They've been very well documented with the violations, with the not listening to the police directly. So the one that I really would like to talk about is the San Paulo Hospitality, which is across the street, which it seems that the Mr. Sugarman's hospitality group has a big role in.
So you're referencing the.
And a big part of the public interest of that, when that was issued, is that we were told quite emphatically that Mr. Sugarman had nothing to do with this because he came to us first for that application and we denied it or it was withdrawn. And then Mr. Ayana, the new prince, came and we were concerned about Mr. Sugarman's involvement, and it was denied, and he came back again and we reconsidered it, and based on that there was no involvement, and there's very clear involvement. So explain, because I mean, this is not, there's relationships all over this. So this cannot, why don't you just explain?
So a lot of this, Donna, predated my involvement in this whole thing. So I played catch up to a degree. But I can tell you, tracing the timeline and all the research and the information I've done, what I've talked to Mr. Sugarman about, what I've talked to Andrea about, when he signed stipulations in good faith to take over this space, it was very clear that Aton was not getting a license here. He signed a lease here and he sold his lease and fixtures to Andrea. And that was out there, that was disclosed, and he took a note on of that debt. He was out, he was giving it to Andrea. He was simply a creditor. The problem that happened was that Andrea could not figure it out. He could not get any traction with the restaurant. He asked Aton for help. Aton is still not an owner of this space. He is not an owner of this space. He has not gotten a dime from this space. He was simply participating in a way to assist, to ensure that he gets paid back his money. That was his involvement here. It's helped. It's worked. The space has gotten some traction. He's helped to bring people in. He's helped to get its legs under it. He's still not an owner of that business. And as you guys well know, I mean, this launched a liquor authority investigation, which we're fully cooperating with, giving them all sorts of documents that they're requesting to show that that is the truth. As for the stipulations that predated that specifically said that he should not be involved, that was the intention at the time. I didn't represent him. I wasn't there, but after conversations, that was honestly the intention as far as it's been explained to me.
So when I have headlines that say Eton Sugarman launches Hudson Street Hospitality Group, and that then it goes on to say all about Umbra.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this. He obviously didn't write the article. He has interest in places in different capacities, some of them in a consulting capacity, some in ownership
Umbra's
capacity.
listed on his webpage as being under Hudson Street Hospitality. So I
'Cause-
mean, clearly
'cause
it's
he's-
now under their umbrella, where we were told there was no, we didn't say financial involvement. We said no involvement. It was extremely clear.
I appreciate
No
that.
involvement. And this overlap has been there. It wasn't just the lease. Doesn't Mr. Ianna's brother or something work with Eton Sugarman at the other places?
I don't know. We'd have to-
His brother have some involvement with you at, which place? Hang on, Hunt and Fish Club?
What is your question? I'm sorry.
Does Mr. Ianna's brother or relative have some involvement with Hunt and Fish Club?
He does not.
He never has?
He was a waiter 7 years ago.
He was a waiter.
He was a waiter 7 years ago.
I mean, this just, the overlaps of this go back. And so that's why this isn't just, a random person over here with a random person over here, which is why I'm so upset about this, because I feel this was a little disingenuous at the time. And I'm sure the community, if they were all well aware of this, which, they're not,
Yeah.
would feel the same way, because this was the most important thing, because White was a nightmare. And it's a historic building that still has stuff all in front of it on the sidewalk that nobody can see the beauty of the historic building. Now, legally, I don't know if, that, but I mean, you're trying to be part of the community. You take over a historic place. It's a disaster during COVID. It's a nightmare. And it's still, you can't see the building. And so that's why it was so important for everybody, aside from like all the violations and everything, that there was no involvement. And now we're sitting here with this.
I appreciate that. And like I said, a lot of that predated me. I'm trying to make sure everything done now is done the right way. And like I said,
Okay, so then I'm just going to go into it. If we're trying to make then this place better, they have a stipulation that they signed, which
place is that?
Umbra,
Okay.
okay, that was clear about the seating outside. And the seating outside is supposed to be in front, like Philip Marie had, with the tables. And again, this was signed during COVID. So,
I didn't represent this application, but
we
I'm here
right.
to try to help.
So what I'm going to say is, when we did that, we said that it would close at 10 o'clock, and it was all kind of our standard language. Hang on. They won't operate any outdoor area for commercial purposes except for sidewalk cafe seating operating under the temporary open restaurants program located immediately adjacent to the storefront on Hudson Street only, leaving the 8-foot clear space with 9 tables and 18 seats, no roadbed, and then removing the one that was built on the cross street, which they did do. But now they operated for a few months, fine with that sidewalk seating, but now it's going down. What's that street? What street is that? Somebody help me with that. The cross street. So it's not.
Cross street.
What's your cross street? Is it Bethune, or are you on the corner of Bethune and Hudson? What are you on the corner of? Whitehart is on the corner of what? No. So on 11th Street, the sidewalk seating now is going all down 11th Street.
So they're seating on 11th.
They're
that should
seating
be-
on 11th Street. That's got to go.
Okay.
Because they were never approved for that. That's not what they had before. They said they weren't. I mean, they haven't come back to us for anything. I'm just letting you know, because he is involved there, and it's his hospitality group that's running the hospitality. So they're seating on 11th Street.
Andrea.
And we also have nothing has been sent into our community board for any permanent seating out there. It's all, it's all under the temporary program. So something has to be filed.
Yep, I understand.
Okay.
Okay, I'll bring that up with Andrea.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything that they want to say here on this?
I just have.
No. Okay.
The young
Cormac?
man standing next to you, you identify who he is?
Talking about me?
Yes.
My name is Eitan Sugarman, ma'am.
And the gentleman sitting over here from the hotel. The
No,
license.
from the hotel. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, Joe, I really hope that your clients here do get this resolved because I'm tired of hearing about it and how many years and violations and endless complaints and things it is. I don't know why it's so difficult for respectable business people in New York to simply fix these problems, why it's taken so long, but I'm really looking forward to having them fixed.
Yeah, all I can say in the short time I've been involved, there's been strides in the right direction and we hope to continue those going.
Okay. Anybody else? Carter?
The way you're representing it is not how it's represented publicly. I mean, off of, your chef's website, after partnering up with Eitan Sugarman and team together opened Ambra in the West Village. I mean, that's pretty clear what that is. And these are all the people who are part of your hospitality group. I mean, that's what it is. And, even from Mr. Mailer, his statements about that are, that doesn't have anything in the involvement. Obviously, what you're saying is he saved the establishment by coming in. That's involvement. That's not no involvement.
I'm
That's
acknowledging that. I'm absolutely acknowledging.
And I think that the issue is precisely this. It's just not being upfront about things. And it's what it is. So
and look,
that was the public interest for that license.
And that is something that we're trying to change here, right? Like I can't do anything about the past. I can't say that someone did something one way or didn't do it another way, and it wasn't me that did it. All I can do is tell you the facts as I understand them and try to make sure that everything's on the right page and moving forward.
Okay, but you're involved in the right pages. You're not involved in that license.
No, I appreciate
technically that may be all the runaround, but even if you go back at the very end of the hearing for Ambra, the chairman of the liquor authority said, "Who built that shed?" You know what? It's okay. I like this was a part of the discussion and the issuance of the license.
I understand.
So that's the concern. And I think that the local community group also would not have given their support. It's very clear from their
It's very
submission.
clear that they did not give their support until they were guaranteed that that
Right.
shed would come down and that there was no involvement. I mean,
And-
that's what that support was built on. Sorry.
Yeah.
And for us, we revisited that application based on those statements. And, that's something that we do is in good faith of the representations without making it too detailed. It's pretty straightforward. what
I
the deal
appreciate
is.
that. I appreciate that. Like I said, there's only so much I can do. I can't go back in time. All I can do is try to fix whatever I can the best I can. And the application before you tonight is that endorsement for the hotel liquor license. And it's a license that's been there for 12+ years and he'll be operating within those parameters inside that building. So
But
hopefully
the
it's
reason it was called up is fitness and character. And that's what we're talking about.
Yep, I appreciate that.
So,
and that's why we're here.
I mean, we would not have even known about this unless the liquor authority had put it on their agenda. It's not like somebody was looking around. I mean, I think that the shock that was the case is what the issue was. So,
yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. I think that's it. That's it. Okay. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. And if you can get that 11th Street solved, 11th
Yes.
Street. Yes. Okay.
Call them first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that we have just 3 other quickies. I do. Okay, yes, you have you to come back. Okay. Thank you. You're waiting here all night. I'm like, goodbye. I forget. Yes. This one? Okay, go ahead.
So we spoke to the owners and then they agree about the close the door when the live music on, and then we close the window for 9. That's that's the stipulation. But is that possible we can get in the back when the background music? Can you release that until 10? Is possible only the,
Say,
just
oh, yeah.
So to be clear, the windows we're talking about are in the front of the building facing the sidewalk, right? We're not talking about the backyard.
Right.
They're sort of like French windows that open up. We're really opening them when the weather's nice, when the AC doesn't need to be on, when it's not raining, and when it's light out. When the sun goes down, we close them. And as you know, in New York, that period of time when the weather is like that is pretty short and getting shorter. So we really don't open them much, but we would, if we were to keep them shut when the background music was on, which is conversational volume. It's usually just jazz or something like that. If we were to close them when the background music is on, we're essentially closing them forever, because we're not going to turn the music off. The place just would be awkward. So we're just asking if we can, with background music, keep them open. Other than that, they close by 9, most likely much earlier. And when there's live music, they're closed no matter what.
Okay. I mean, it's a, right. I mean, that's the stipulations say that that background music means it can't be heard in any adjacent residences or anything.
Sure.
So if as long, I mean, I don't know where your speakers are, but they can't be by those open windows.
Sure.
If they are there, because people will hear them.
Yeah.
And then what about the backyard?
The backyard, I think Sam has the official information about that.
so the architect is working on the backyard for TCO in the DO Department of Building. And once we get in the approved, and I will definitely come back for a meeting with the board and then with the member here. And until that, we're not gonna be open up in the backyards.
So the backyard is being removed from this. There will be no backyard use. Are there windows in the backyard? Or door? Everything will be closed.
There's a door that locks. And there's just 2 normal apartment windows that open vertically with screens. There's never any reason to have those open.
So I would say that everything back there should be closed and no employees back there.
Yeah.
It's not used at all back there. There's nothing. There's no use of the rear
That's how it
yard.
currently is.
And then you can come back if you get permission to use it. You'll
Exactly.
file an alteration application with us to use it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what it was the live music. So,
I can.
live music, if you're going to have live music, acoustic only.
I can
Okay.
expand on that.
And so we're just talking about what would be in the stipulation, acoustical music only. And when the live music is being played, the windows are closed. Okay.
Live music.
Background music only.
Yeah.
Won't be heard in other residences, even if the windows are open and you close them every night at 9 PM. I think that's
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And the live music is
right.
on Sunday afternoons for 3 hours. That's it. But
It's all acoustic.
yes.
Anybody
I
else?
was just going to say, it was interesting to hear tonight when your neighbors commented that their opinion had changed of your operation in the last
Yeah.
few years. And I think that that's something, just the smaller things with noise, because now the front space is new.
It's because we went
Because
outside.
if you're clearly getting involved and you want to keep going
Yeah.
forward, this is going to be an issue going down the
Yeah,
road.
yeah.
So trying to figure out how to fix it now
Listen,
goes a long way.
COVID was a learning experience. It was a roller coaster. We went from being a 25-seat bar to at one point 75 seats outside. It was a huge undertaking, and we tried our best with the neighbors and most of the neighbors, not most, but some of the neighbors have my personal cell phone number, including some of them that were here. I fielded all the complaints as fast as I can. I live up the street on Perry Street. I'm always around. I work way too much. I'm there all the time. So I really did try through COVID, and I understand. I mean, I sat here and watched person after person, not just for us, complain about the outdoor dining. I agree, it was a nuisance. And we took ours down in April, our sheds down in April of 2023, way before we were required to. And we did, somebody mentioned that we took up the whole, half of the block. We did have permission from the neighboring building, which was allowed at the time for the DOT, per the DOT. But yeah, we tried, we plant plants in the adjacent planters. Our porter goes and cleans up the block. I pick up trash on the block. We really try to be good neighbors. And I agree with you. This only started however many, 3-4 years ago when we went outside into public eye. And I really don't know how we could have survived without doing it. And I know that it was nuisance, but we tried our best,
I'm just saying, obviously, if you want to do more going forward, just whatever other changes you're making, just it's something to work on, because you've been a long standing business in the community, and and it's always a little disappointing when you hear people say, I loved it then, and that's because that's just, and I appreciate the steps you're taking with this and the backyard and the front windows, because and I wouldn't lump yourself necessarily in with some of the other places, but it's something that I think we want to see businesses like yours stay.
And I think with
it's a good forum to hear things that you might not otherwise hear.
For sure. I mean, trust me, this was I've been to court before, and that has nothing on this.
Done.
But what I would say about that is, with the new DOT rules, things are shrinking and getting smaller and more manageable. And I think we'll be totally fine, with the new DOT rules.
If you do have to what Carter asked before, you would close any outdoor seating at 10. Did we even?
Yeah, that's always been, not always, but for the last, for this summer, I don't know. The DOT changes the rules and we go with them, but it's been 10 o'clock for a while.
They'll let you go till 12. So we're asking that anything would be till 10.
Yeah, we're fine with 10. We've been doing 10 for a long time.
Dr. Smith, did you?
Just to be clear, are you taking off the backyard from this application?
I think Sam agreed to that. Yeah.
Yes.
There's been a lot of back and forth.
Yes.
Thank you.
You'll come back for it. Anthony. Microphone.
How many tables and chairs do you have set up outside? We still don't have the actual number
outside
uttered out.
Two small tables on the sidewalk against the building, and 4 small tables on the street.
You're not supposed to have tables and chairs out by the curb. It's only supposed to.
They're not on. I mean, street, on the street, not on the
roadbed.
Well, I mean, that gentleman sitting over there can attest to what the situation is like.
There for a while. They're in the road. There's when the new DOT rules came out, we completely took away the.
So, well, wait, okay, so let's not do the back and forth. Let's just not do the back and forth.
There's been nothing on the sidewalk
since
the new DOT rules came out.
You're going to apply for us for your outdoor seating because you're going to need to do that. He's gonna have, but there's not now. That's what I'm saying. He's going to have to send us something. I just want to know that I just want the 10 o'clock lockdown.
Yeah.
And then we can do whatever we want with it.
But yeah, there's nothing on the sidewalk. There's only against the building and in the roadway.
Okay.
There, at one point we did use that area, but it hasn't been for a long time.
So, okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad you made the phone call. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so. Okay, he's there all the time. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's it for who's sitting here. And then I'm just gonna quickly go through the ones that I waived so that we've done that. So 2 guys in a fish tank, Cecchi's Bar, 105 West 13th Street, yet again, the poor guy. He is changing his hours. He was originally opening at 11 and 11:30 is what he had said to us. He never operated that way. He right now is not doing lunch. He'd like to do lunch. And so he changed his hours with the liquor authority to 5, who asked him to make sure he let us know that he was changing his hours to 5. So unless somebody told us they're open every day for lunch and that was a primary method of their operation, which is not what he did, we usually don't have a problem with that. He re-signed the stipulations with the correct hours. And just an FYI, we reviewed, he did not come, but we reviewed his outdoor seating. We had a plan for that when he was adding the outdoor seating. It ends up that was in the property line. So he did not have to apply with DOT, even though he applied with DOT and went through a bunch of back and forth with DOT. They finally determined it was in the property line. He is abiding by every stipulation he signed with us. So that's that one. And then there were, Shake Shack just had a corporate change. They re-signed the same stipulations that they had. It was an internal officer and everything is remaining the same. So I waived their appearance, just FYI. Somebody from there did show up because they did not know that their appearance was waived. So that's that. That's it. Any new
second it.
business? No. Okay, so we take a. Yeah, we're just gonna take, okay, we're just gonna take a break.
I second that. I second that. I second that.
I have two.
I love her. But the Yankees playing, they're not really. My cousin did not get.
My what?
My cousin did that.
Anderson did not get
Did not get the bucks. He's. Yeah.
Name was very tough. That's a good one. Yeah, so it's raining out tonight. So.
It's like. It's my
Starting.
So.
Because the governor put forth signed legislation that allowed felons to vote. Think about that. They allowed to vote.
Yes, I said it made a law in the whole state of Minnesota. This.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. First one was the night. Hotel.
No, no more.
Where the great dad was.
Question.
Format to give it to.
Here. You need it.
Yellow, one of someone else can get the law, I got no. Here's the law.
Oh.
Need that, take it cash.
The fantastic.
Yellow.
It's the yellow.
So anyway, we can last time. They made that would be. So they made. Agreement to get rid of the road. And it will never have a road that it's not just get rid of it, it will never have. They will propose as intent for the short and only and
Part of the parties. So the name of this. Of the document, yeah. Which is kind of. That's at the end. So I think, you know, the thing is that we're hard. We can. There's no. There's not. Yeah.
There's an egress.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they think that they require this. And you have to have a way. I think that they're small. You could go, even though you may not have to go to the street, I think, so you can go way.
And now
And you can't go through the rest. And there's 2 violations. Right? Great. That's what's.
Yeah.
Also, the front space not open properly. If we, even though we want to. Because now there's a whole. On the base, there's. And the biggest problem is, and that's the greatest issue with it. It's accepted, and then in the same. Divergent space. It's actually the first they ever. I think it was fortunate that they didn't want to try to resolve. It could just sort of the issue. I think that we have to, I don't know how we can be okay with it. Yes. But I think that we have to bring that up. The other thing is that we see violations that. And because the reason it's a big deal. Because residential. In standards. This why they operate. It's a fun. Their representation, you know, the whole.
And if that was, you know, maybe they had to be taking over. Fine, stuff. Then. Yeah. Then all I got is in third. Yeah, so that's. Only way of walking. And then, yeah, actually, this is where I'm seeing all the other thing. The shop. Having fire. Yeah, and we'll go over. This is a new. Here. But from when they. We've been. Give our recommendation. And the community. Has been about a month. It's been very. So they were. Getting. Yeah, it's been about a month. It's been about a week. So, we don't know this. It's very possible that we could get 500 of this the day of.
The community board for that get it well.
No. But so now the changes, they know that they can follow. They have to wait every day. Now they can file the application because they're going to go wrong for the day. They can be behind the scenes. They can do. So, so all the things that we want to input on it, and we needed to hear because of the chickens opportunity and a lot of ways to deal with that. If they will be approved, even though opposed, what we've been, the ALJ approved it, what's the problem?
So I think that the way to do it is just deny it. Memorial. Agreement they made with the resident and point out all the issues. Then you have to take into account when to do the issue. They can be collected down the road. Even if they get and now it's still happening, but it's never worded. And the biggest thing we see, is these are tools that we run in and out. Issues that this is not taking issues that are concerning.
Oh, that we do. I need to do that.
Well, man, not all. City, but I didn't see it. You know, like the guy said, maybe place, and you know, and it seems that every now it's what they needed. Waiver on. There were.
So we not. Everybody's here except for Sue. Okay. So that's a couple minutes on is overall.
Okay.
So they remove that. Goes at 9 to 10. Or whatever. Is it?
Well, the thing that's new. If you have a bad community.
It's that.
Oh, yeah.
I know employees in the back there, yes. Back there.
Yeah, because the thing about what's going on about that is that the number of people that share will be table.
Thing is, what we're trying to do is, and I have that.
Yeah.
If there's an issue with the government, there's no one to, you can wait. That's just, that part.
Yeah, we work with deal with like.
We enroll then, but this is not already. We did not have. So. They are going to call, if they're about yeah, that's it. That's how to, in order to be back to that was set up. The project is final of which they had before the world order. And the restaurant for business.
And the 11 points is out to.
What they had in yeah. And they're supposed to work. The removing advertising immediately. I'm not. Honestly. It's. They open on.
No, it's just, it's just not clear. It's not. And they just have, like, this is for their benefit. Because it's not part of the guidelines. They're legally serving. It's unclear when that's starting to. And so we haven't heard any of these out. So just after all of them, not because we're trying to do something. They got it. So, but there's sort of a window of exchange that they just came in a fall right now. The liquor authority hasn't even issued their. But we would give them the window. Without violation. So if they wait too long, they can't start using it again. If they have. Because I think if we don't want people. That's not much.
They part of that hard. So.
To say that they have an open street, that they're not. That all those are going to be doing to trust.
Are we denying? Then. Very off.
So David got me on the front meeting. And he said that the thing about removing the shed is we'd like to see that in some sort of scientific, because we did not cross the operator out of it. That's it. Yeah, take this stuff down. But and now that the deadline, the people who do this, it's going to be the demand. Gross. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them when they really should have been our connections.
We did the road in the pipeline, don't want it.
I saw one sitting there like rat living under it.
I think the working on I think worse than. So he agreed to put standard online. Carmine reports the standards. Never that they're putting his going the and that just
Yeah, they should again was right. They may not pursue, they get out the law. Yeah, they're straight over. Still have.
And then he's supposed to. Yeah. And he agreed to go for.
Oh, no, I thought he still had the free table.
No.
But that's fine. I mean, yeah, the great dog, a lot of their business is like morning article.
That's not
It's unfortunate. You can see the different cycles. Goals to change.
Well, I think that.
Some of these places that used to be open from 3, 4, 5 a.m. But yeah, part of that is also, it's not just people remote, it's also the trees that some companies develop. They think about the loss of benefits, change all of it.
What we do? Yes, that, you know, it was, we will promise. And There is the law. I mean, I would like us to remember that this is not the most. There's something that's been presented on way and they find out. That's. So, you know, this one, the only one really was okay. Because they wanted the road that had been gone, but if the road that was gone and this is pretty much somehow, they would not have been okay. But that's the way, so I mean,
So the other thing too is that there are those who take out that are involved in a lot of pricing from all the ones. Yeah. Now, it's I might. Then there is that further to this. Open to that one resident would be a fill. They don't like people. Well, the application for you're not actually on the board. Application for different and this is important. This is the first time when hotels come to we no longer we just hear then they have other people. Used to be that it was separate business before. Now they can just switch it to the operator. They like so said we need to talk about this device. It has to go to the commission. And so that will be solved. And if you look a little bit more online, on all of it, it's anybody that original resolution to be going. And it says, we believe that Mr. Bannon is front. And now he's like, and then the people said, oh, no, we're not. Yeah, he's involved. It's like, I mean, everything more. So it's unfortunate.
It's not. The connection is he's loading the business so he can treat his money as a growth. That would be it's possible, makes sense. And if you read the article, it doesn't really say talking about it. And then he promotes it. And it's I get it, but it's rough.
You were right in the pressure, but the difference is the
oh shit, I'm sure.
Well, that's what they were promised. Sold no one.
He didn't take that brand of shit. We're gonna put up. Oh, it's like thinking about
that's like, and will put us standing the next.
But I think that, it's not just very unfortunate, okay? But it really and that's the continuing theme of all of it. And I just saw one. Jack and Jack, it's entire. One of the other ones is there, and like they probably ignored orders between New York City police like so their license Maryland suspended their parties. And you know, so it's all out the money. And here it's
everybody to know. Not and then it shakes.
Yep.
The doctor.
Oh, good.
You know, if you were to look at the renewal, something that I'm not often looking close to, so we have real problems with this being placed in the form of fire. The lines of being cannot get through, and they're the smallest. Large. And they also. Yeah. That are, and I remember when they came to us originally. I'm not sure what's going on, but actually it just don't happen that. There's a the guy who was the owner, and I said, "It's fine." First, like, I don't think it's the baby, and he was very. He didn't say anything. I just let him know that this is not it's not neighborhood. I think though we need, and we also, but I know that Donna knows. Bring it up. The thing that you can do, I know that it's only a. But you know, the BMT on BMT. On the corner, this guy has two fellows. They're all out there in soccer, and yeah. They've been out the whole time. Pictures and Mark got also nothing.
So I wrote to Dan directly and said what Donna and others gave me in terms of the law that prohibits this. No response. So I submitted to first to Department of Transportation, and then Donna's good advice, I also submitted to SLA. That's the plan.
When you weren't here, when you first came to the stipulation was that there would be no seats on the cross card.
For he went in, he got that changed. So that road structure that's on Weaver can't be there in the standing zone. Well, the place next door will be also. They've never been allowed.
No,
but they're set up
on the Weaver side.
Yeah, the stops. It's a no standing.
So I have to make a living. But I'm just saying.
You've got. But he did identify from next door that money was called. When they will redo.
Bring it up. I know it's nothing we can basic.
Well, some more concern with the stuff.
But that's what I brought up. But that's
okay. So what's interesting. Well, no, we're more concern was recommended now.
Yeah.
They never got called up for so it's unclear why. It may have been that they reached number or we should. And it also might I think that the Galleries Committee and Mark, I think that we need to figure out How to put in a complaint about why. Because they're gonna apply for the sidewalk. And it's an extenuating circumstance, and they're utilizing the sidewalk. That could be relevant to DOT, because even though they may be able to have. They're utilizing. They're already pushing. But if we don't have complaints that are made beforehand, if it goes to DOT, then that's not. You know, so having complaints that it's works. Next thing is to put it in the line.
Right, so there is no crossover that I'm aware of between, that would be a concern for SAPO, for a street activation. You have to account for your line.
Yeah, but it's not, because the DOT were allowed to bring it to circumstances. The clear path meant not to walk.
Understood, understood, but there's no box to check for that, is what I'm saying.
There's the other scenario.
Yeah, but okay,
What I'm saying,
no explicit. Yeah, go ahead.
You can't just take up the sidewalk and you just need something else. Warrant.
Right, those things are better done when constituents complain than when the community board complains, but yeah.
It's fixing the line and I don't see it. That's the issue.
Yeah. Walking by now and I'm meeting. Some, maybe it's a Barry, remember that time you got meeting and we walked by officer and they had that bar. Yeah, some people. So lots of. Yes, but that's the and then giving out a little sample of, I mean, brand table. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Do we know anything about the like we made about that? That's the corner of Bleecker and Broadway. Yeah. The scaffolding in the north west corner of Bleecker and Broadway. I know like a lot of people keep saying to get off.
Oh, yeah, they're supposed to take away all the condition to go with. That was also very strange in cities. They paid that. The operator is not still.
That one was
Yeah, but it's hot because it's the.
Resident. Okay, that. I mean, you.
I mean, that one.
Let's say that they've been calling and sending email to the community.
Somebody wants to get that, but we can. What about booster reading? Talk about.
Did you get any format? Is that about 645 Broadway?
Bleecker and Broadway, plants and things, the scaffolding and all the plants and craft that cover the whole sidewalk.
I know the place.
Yeah, residents at 77 have been telling me that they've made complaints to the community board.
We want that, we were asked.